A very good morning to one and all. I hope all of you are doing well. I, Shinsi Sarah John, the Service Secretary of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, would be the anchor today. After celebrating the Holy Qurbana, we are here to start with the second day of LOGOS 2020. Hereby, I warmly welcome you all for the second day of LOGOS 2020. We have never imagined LOGOS without the talent night. In that very spirit, we have shot video clips showcasing the talents of our MGOCSM members of different parishes of MGOCSM.
Talents are something which has no barriers, no restrictions, no limits. In this COVID era, we all got time to brush up all our hidden talents. So we are utilizing this beautiful platform to represent all our talented and budding artists.
ഒരു മുത്തശ്ശി പൊട്ടു ചൊല്ലി കുഞ്ഞോളെ കുമ്മാടി മാമന്റെ ചാജാട് പച്ചക്കറിക്കായ തട്ടി ഒരു മുത്തശ്ശി പൊട്ടു ചൊല്ലി കുഞ്ഞോളെ കുമ്മാടി മാമന്റെ ചാജാട് പിള്ളേരി പിച്ച പോലും ചുമ്മാ കള്ളക്കണ്ണീരൊഴുക്കി തക്കാളി പപ്പാളി അച്ചിങ്ങ മച്ചിങ്ങ പിച്ചിങ്ങയോടത്തു പിച്ച നടന്നു ചൊല്ലി കുഞ്ഞോളെ കുമ്പാടി മാമന്റെ ചാജാട് കുഞ്ഞോളെ കുമ്പാടി മാമന്റെ ചാജാട്
से मुड़ अदा से उड़ कर ले पूरी दिल की तमन्ना When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be pardoned, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There's the words of wisdom, let it be.
चलो बताओ करना क्या है സംഭവം മനസ്സിലായല്ലോ എന്തുവാന്ന് പറ ഇനി എന്തോ ചെയ്യണ്ടേ ഓ ആരെങ്കിലും എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് പറയുവോ ഇത് ഞാൻ തന്നെ ഇരുന്ന് വീഡിയോ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന പോലുണ്ട്
One eternity later.
ഇവിടെ എന്താ ഇപ്പൊ നടക്കുന്നത് ഇവരെല്ലാരും കിടന്ന് എന്തിനാ ആലോചിക്കുന്നത് ഇതൊക്കെയല്ലേ ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ ആലോചിക്കുന്നു ഈ സംഭവത്തിന് തുടക്കമല്ല മാർച്ചിലാണ് ഇച്ചിരി എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു വൈറസ് നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതം തന്നെ താറുമാറാക്കി കളഞ്ഞു എങ്ങനെയിരുന്ന പിള്ളേരായിരുന്നു മാസം തോറും വെള്ളം കാണാത്ത പിള്ളേർ വരെ ഇപ്പൊ ദിവസത്തിൽ 10 പ്രാവശ്യം കൈ കഴുകാൻ തുടങ്ങി ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ പിള്ളേർക്കെല്ലാം ട്രെൻഡ് ആണല്ലോ പ്രധാനം
ഒന്നും കിട്ടാനിട്ട് ദേ ഇവിടെ ചായപ്പൊടി കൊണ്ട് ഡൽഗോണ കോഫി ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ നോക്കുക എൻ്റെ പൊന്നോ എനിക്കും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഈ പുഴു അതിന് വയറ് നിറച്ച് കിട്ടുകയും ചെയ്തു
അമ്മേ ഞാൻ എന്റെ മുടി ഒന്ന് ഹൈലൈറ്റ് ചെയ്താലും എന്നാ നീ ഒരു കാര്യം ചെയ്യും ഇതിന്റെ മുടിയും കൂടെ അങ്ങ് മുട്ടയടിക്കുക അപ്പൊ എല്ലാവരും വിചാരിക്കും നിനക്ക് വട്ടാണ് വീട്ടിലൊരു കപ്പ് പോലും എടുത്തു വെക്കാത്തവരിപ്പോ വീട്ടിലെ ജോലി മൊത്തം ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങി ആ കഴിഞ്ഞു
പെട്ടെന്ന് തീർത്താൽ ഉടനെ അടുത്ത പണി തരാം
തീരുമ്പ പണി തരാൻ ഞാൻ എന്താ കുപ്പിന്ന് വന്ന ഭൂത
രാത്രി മുഴുവനും സീരിയലും നെറ്റ്ഫ്ലിക്സും ലൂഡോയും കളിച്ച് കുത്തിയിരുന്നു
സ്കൂളും കോളേജും ഒക്കെ ഓൺലൈനായി പിന്നെ പഠിത്തത്തിന്റെ കാര്യത്തിന് ഒരു തീരുമാനമായി
ഇരുപത്തിനാല് മണിക്കൂറിനും ടി വിയുടെ മുമ്പിൽ ഇരിപ്പാണെന്നും പരാതിയുള്ള മമ്മി പോലും ഇപ്പോൾ സൺഡേ രാവിലെ 7 മണിയാവുമ്പോൾ വിളിക്കും മോളെ ഈ ടി വി ഒന്ന് ഓൺ ചെയ്ത് തരുമോ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു
ഇനിയിപ്പോ ഇവിടെ എന്തുവാ നടക്കുന്നതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുതരാം ഇപ്രാവശ്യം എല്ലാം ഓൺലൈൻ ആയി പിന്നെ ലോഗോസും ഓൺലൈൻ സിജു അച്ഛൻ വേറൊരു പണിയും തോന്നുന്നു ഇതിന്റെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ലോഗോസിന്റെ ടാലന്റ് ആയിട്ട് മോള് അതിന്റെ ഡിസ്കഷൻ തുടങ്ങി വെച്ചതാ ഇപ്പൊ ഈ പരുവത്തിലായത്. ഇപ്രാവശ്യം ഡാൻസ് വേണ്ട, ഏതാണ്ട് ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യണമെന്നായിരുന്നു ആഗ്രഹം. ആ എന്തോ ആവോ എന്തോ. എന്തായാലും ലാസ്റ്റ് ഞങ്ങൾ വീണ്ടും അല്ല വേണ്ട, നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടു നോക്ക്.
Good morning, students. Hope you are all doing good. I know some of you may have internet problems, so it's okay if you want to keep your video off. Abhinav, don't get distracted. Be attentive. Okay. So now I will be taking your attendance. Roll number 1, Abhinav.
Present, ma'am.
Roll number 2, Evelyn. I think she is absent. Roll number 3, Mime. പെട്ടെന്ന് ഇങ്ങനെ ചുമക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. Mime, I can see you. Please mark your attendance. Please say present. Mime, why are you so distracted? Yeah, please unmute yourself. Okay, you are present. Noted.
light to a blind man. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will calm the storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels don't? When you kiss your little baby, you kiss the face of God. Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know?
The blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dumb will speak again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak,
The praises of the Lamb.
Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day rule the nations?
Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect lamb? The sleeping child you're holding is the great I am.
Mary, did you know?
Mary, did you know?
Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know?
Mary, did you know?
Mary, did you know?
Mary, did you know?
சுருக்கருக்கா முக்கா முழம் போட்டே மாறி கொழுந்து கபத்திலு மாட்டி புடிச்சு பிஸ்டாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா பிஸ்டாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா சுருக்கருக்கா முக்கா முழம் போட்டே மாறி கொழுந்து கபத்திலு மாட்டி புடிச்சு பிஸ்டாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா பிஸ்டாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா டமாலே டமா 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 டமாலே டமா டனக்கு நக்கன டே டே டஸ்க்கு நக்கன டே டே டண்டனக்கா டனக்கனக்கா டே 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 മുക്കാ മുഴം ലോട്ടെ ലാട്ടി മരുന്ന് കണക്കിന് വാച്ചി എടുത്ത് പിസ്താസ് മാക്കിറാസ് മാറി ചമാക്കിറായ പിസ്താസ് മാക്കിറാസ് മാറി ചമാക്കിറായ ടമാലേ ടമാ 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 ടമാലേ ടമാ ഡനക്ക് നക്കന ഡേ ഡേ ഡസ്ക് നക്കന ഡേ ഡേ ഡണ്ടനക ഡനകനക ഡേ 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 ഡേ
Well, that was really interesting. Kudos to all the members who took out their time to make this short video and showcase your talents. Let's make this day a little more interactive. Next up, for breaking the ice, we have a small activity which will be conducted by Shijo Mamanke, who is the Joint Secretary of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, and Feba Mariam Panikar, who is the Study Secretary of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese.
Thank you, Shinsi. A small request to everyone, please switch on your videos so that we can see you. As this is like a 15-minute kind of activity, it would be really nice if we could see you for those 15 minutes. So it's a request to you all, please switch on your cameras. I'll wait for you all to switch on your cameras. I see a few people have switched on their cameras. A humble request, it's okay no matter how you're looking. If you're in the bed also, it's all right. Just switch on your camera so that we can see your faces. Only your faces, huh? Okay, thank you, Shino. All right, okay. So I please need some more people to switch on their cameras. Only for 15 minutes. After this, you can switch it off. Okay, that's great. I see more faces. All right, thank you, Tissy. Okay. Great. So the first activity that we have for you here today is we wanted this to be like an icebreaker. So basically what you're supposed to do is you're all at your homes, right? You're sitting at your homes right now. So the first task that I'm giving you right now is run to your kitchen and grab any one object from your kitchen. This way we'll have to see a tour of your house also, no? That will be really nice. So run to your kitchen, get one object from your kitchen. It could be a knife, it could be channi, it could be tavi, it could be anything, balan, whatever you find. And then show me in the camera what you found.
Should we keep the video on, Feba?
Yeah, switch on your videos. Can you see what I have? I have a jug with me.
But you never ran across the kitchen, bro.
Yeah, I kept it ready.
Okay.
Smart. Okay. So if you found an object, awesome. Can I see your objects? Great. Okay. So now your task is to rename yourself with a funny name using the object that you have. So if I have to do that, I have a jug. So I'll rename myself as probably, let's see what I'm going to rename myself as. Okay, so I can't rename myself right now. I think I don't have access to do that. But I think I'll go with the name Jug Mohan. How does that sound? Jug Mohan. So what you're supposed to do is right now you have your names. Just change your names with whatever creative names that you can come up using the object that you have in your hand. Keep the object with you. We'll ask you to show us the object also. Is that okay? So I have a jug, so I am Jug Mohan now. Let's see how creative you can be. Achin is also here. Achin has a fork.
Rename it.
Acha, what creative name would you come up with a fork?
Fork train.
Fork train. Okay. That is nice. Okay.
Just call out random.
Okay, so is anyone ready? Have you thought of a name? I see Tissy with a spoon. What name have you thought of?
Spoonistan.
Spoonistan. That is very creative. Awesome. A very different name. Amazing. We have a resource person also here. Akshay sir was showing us something, some object. Akshay sir, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, that's basically apple and that's plate. And my name is Akshay, so it's Platak.
Platak.
Yeah, Platak. A.
Platak. Platak.
Yeah, Platak. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Platak. Okay,
Yeah,
I see
Platak.
Akhil from Dilshad Garden with a spoon, I think.
Yeah, it's a spoon.
Huh?
It's a spoon.
It's a spoon. So what name would you give yourself?
My name is Akhil Thomas, so I thought of giving it Spoon Omus.
Spoon Omus.
Spoon Omus.
Spoon Omus. That's different and very fun also. Okay, I see someone from Ghaziabad. I think Alina is there from Ghaziabad. And I think with her it's
काफी weird.
Miss Kafi Weird, Anna. Yes. So if you could also show me what objects you have.
We haven't decided yet as to what to rename. We need 5 more minutes.
Okay, sure. We'll catch you towards the end of the session. Okay. Wow, everyone has switched off their cameras, huh? I see someone from Chandigarh. I can't see the name. Neha. Is it Neha? Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Neha. What object have you found from your kitchen?
An orange.
Oh, it's an orange. What name would you give?
My name is Neha. I can decide.
Not audible.
I think the connection is being broken. Can you repeat?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible now.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Divide my name. Nehranj.
Can you put it in the chat box?
Okay.
Okay. Then we have Meenu from Rohini. Let's see what Meenu has from her kitchen.
That's a tavi which picks up the rice which we used to serve rice. So it will be Palakkad and Matta Matthew because that's a variety of rice.
That's very different and very creative. Palakkad Matta Matthew. Nice. Awesome. Great. I see Lydia from Jaipur. Have you found an object from your kitchen? Silence. Okay. What about Nisha from Agra? Nisha from Agra? Okay, Nehranj. Neha said Nehranj. That's also very unique. Great. I can see you all have become very creative. I hope that nobody's parents or mothers are like, Indu, I the kitchen to the girl nadakane karke aise koi nahi bol raha karke. Sneha, what do you have with you? Sneha? Ghaziabad.
I have a tavi.
Okay, what name would it be? Tavi ke liye?
Stevie the tavi.
Stevie the tavi. Wow. I see Stefan from Dilshad Garden. Hi, Stefan.
दीदी तो पहले तो बहुत मुश्किल हुई मुझे इसका नाम ढूंढने के लिए फिर I have named it Greatonator.
Greatonator. Yes. Awesome. Sounds very sci-fi kind of a name. Nice. Justin, I see Justin on the screen. Justin S. Matthew. Justin? Okay. Then if you're not, what about Shino? Shino, what do you have? You have a balun. Show us the balun. You're on mute. Shino, you're on mute. So you're not able to unmute. Okay.
It's Galen, so it's called Balanpur.
Balanpur.
It's a place. It's not a name.
Is it from like Mirzapur se inspired? Huh? Okay, I see Joshua Jaiman from Dilshad Garden has said, as my name is Joshua Jaiman, I have a knife, so I will name it as Kattimon. Wow. That is even more fun. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed this session. Like the small activity, it was just to get you in the mood to have you all, move around your house a little bit because you're using the screen so much. Now we have another activity, but I need you all to switch on your cameras. Without switching on the camera, koi maza nahi aayega. So please switch on your cameras quickly and then I'll explain the activity to you. Nothing, I'll not ask you to unmute you, nothing. It'll just be you doing some actions for us. Like we used to do those action songs and everything. So just some small actions which we'll give you and we'll do that. If you can all quickly just switch on your cameras. Jaldi se thoda setting karke, like if you can switch on your cameras, it will be really amazing. Okay. I'm just giving you 5 seconds to switch on your camera, then we'll start. At least my first screen should have faces, yeah? Okay. All right. Now, the activity is, now listen very carefully. Okay, listen very carefully. We're going to tell you the names of 4 apostles or 4 disciples of Christ. Okay, 4 disciples of Christ का नाम हम आपको बता रहे हैं. Now, each of these apostles has a unique characteristic or a unique trait. When we read their stories, we know them through these characteristics. So what you're supposed to do is remember what I'm saying, and then I'm associating a few actions with each of the names. You have to remember what the actions are going to be. So for example, if I say Peter, what did Peter do? Peter denied Christ. So whenever somebody says Peter, you have to shake your head. Can we all do that? Shake your head. Okay? Shake your head. The second person was Judas. What did Judas do? Judas betrayed Jesus Christ, right? So he felt guilty about it later. So what you're supposed to do? Look down. Just look down. Whenever the name Judas is spoken, you have to look down. After that, we have Matthew. Now, what did Matthew do? When Matthew was recruited, before that, he was a dishonest tax collector. Okay, so what happened? He came from the wrong side to the right side. So when Matthew was said, look to the right. Okay, all of you please look to your right quickly. Looking to your right. Okay, and then the last one is Thomas. Now, what did Saint Thomas do? Saint Thomas wanted proof for you have to touch your eyes. So 4 names. One is Peter. What do you do in Peter? You shake your head. You shake your head for Peter. Okay. Second one was Judas. What do you do for Judas? You look down. Very good. And then we have Matthew. What do you do for Matthew? We look to the right. Okay. And then the last one is Thomas. Whenever I say the word Thomas, you'll be touching your eyes. So now I'm going to hand it over to Shijo Maman, and he'll be giving you the instructions. Okay, so are you all ready? I hope you're ready. We'll just go with it. Okay, Shijo.
Ready, public? अरे अच्छन तो पूरा सेट है यार यहाँ पे.
If you can see Achan's camera also, look at Achan also. He's all ready to play with us. Okay.
So like पिछले conference में कौन-कौन आया था? Just make that emoticon. समझ आ जाएगा.
मतलब thumbs up or something. Okay, we had a similar game last year.
Yeah, exactly. Exercise करवाया था पिछली बार. तो इस बार हम भागा-दौड़ी नहीं कर सकते. So we will like exercise बैठे-बैठे. Neck का exercise होगा. बट वही है स्पीड में धीरे सुनो ठीक है एंड आई रियली वांट एवरीवन टू पार्टिसिपेट इन इट. ये अभी भी सेकंड पेज पूरा
प्लीज स्विच ऑन योर कैमरास यार प्लीज वी आर बेगिंग यू नाउ.
एग्जैक्टली मस्ती नहीं मारना क्या?
ऐसे सेशंस देखते रहना है सिर्फ. प्लीज स्विच ऑन योर कैमरास.
या चलो डन. धीरे धीरे स्टार्ट करते हैं. मजा आएगा. मैं कोई भी एक्शन करूं मैं मेरे को मत देखना. See I'll do it and just take. I will do any action. You just need to listen the name I'm taking and you have to do the action what she said. Like जो instruction दिया था ना starting से. Peter. अरे करो सब. यहाँ पे फोटो लिया जा रहा है सबका. पता लग जाएगा कौन नहीं कर रहा. ठीक है. And other one is Judas. Okay, Matthew. Okay, Thomas. Fine. अब धीरे धीरे मजा आएगा. ठीक है.
थोड़ा स्पीड बढ़ाए या कम करें? कैसे करना है?
आराम से तो सब हो जाएगा.
Okay, done.
Peter, Judas, Thomas. राइट कौन देख रहा है यहाँ पे? Matthew, Thomas, Matthew, Peter, Judas, शीनो कहाँ हो गया? Matthew, Peter.
I'm confused.
चलो फाइन. अब मेरे को देखना ठीक है बट मेरे से एक्शन मत करना. ठीक है. Peter. Okay. Thomas. Matthew. Peter, Thomas, Matthew, Peter, Judas, Matthew, Abraham. ऐसा कोई था नहीं. ओके, अब थोड़ा और स्पीड में, ठीक है?
Please make sure your neck doesn't get sprained up.
Done. Ready? Starting with Thomas, Matthew, Judas, Peter, Judas, Thomas, Matthew, Peter, Judas. किसी की आवाज. Matthew, Judas, Peter, Judas, Matthew, Peter, Judas, Matthew, Peter, Judas, Thomas. Okay, guys, great.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed this session. And thoda sa neck and all got a little bit of movement. And I hope you're ready for the next session. And over to our anchor for introducing our resource person.
Judas, Matthew, and Peter was a good warm-up exercise for all of us, I hope. Next up, on popular demand, we have a special session, a workshop on storytelling. I request Steffi Anacharian, our worship secretary, to introduce the resource person for the same.
Humans have been telling stories since we could speak, or maybe even before that. We take pictures, we have conversations, and the list just goes on. We have one such storyteller amongst us who is presently working with 98.3 Radio Mirchi as a copywriter, has done theater, including stage plays, street plays, digital illustrations, filmmaking, and many more things. He is lovingly called as a plant parent by everyone, and indeed, it is his biggest achievement. On behalf of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, we extend a hearty welcome to Mr. Akshay Sonker and would like to invite him to amuse and enlighten all of us with the art of storytelling.
Hi everyone. So first of all, what a beautiful, energetic morning we actually we just a part of the kind of a song and the kind of a dance video. I was really fascinated with it. And then after that activity, it was just amazing. But you know what? Right now here, it's a workshop, but to me, it's only that one thing. First of all, I just really want to ask you people to be really easy. जिसको कैमरा बंद करना है वो कैमरा बंद कर ले, जिसको कैमरा खोलना है वो कैमरा खोल ले. You all have to be really comfortable with it. So one thing that I'm going to do here is make you people comfortable about storytelling, because we all are storytellers. That's what I believe in. And मैं बहुत जल्दी बोलूँ ना, इसलिए मैं चाहूँगा कि कुछ लोग अपना अगर थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन दे सकें. If you guys really want to say hi or something, then you can actually do that, so that I can actually begin with my storytelling wala thing. So hi everyone. First of all, सारे लोगों को बिना मास्क के देखकर बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. कुछ लोग अपने बिस्तर में हैं, कुछ लोग अपनी गाड़ियों में हैं, कुछ लोग अपने कमरों में हैं, कुछ लोग ग्रुप में भी बैठे हैं. And that is the most important thing, and that's what Christmas is all about. We just are entering that zone, and we are already entering that zone. So first of all, after that introduction, the name came Akshay, right? So I have a story about that too. So what actually happened, that my name had to be like Shrey Sonker. But what actually Panditji said that no, good name, no. Shrey is a good name. So what actually has to happen, right? So this guy has to have a name starting from A. Then my sister, who was 6 by that time, had a huge crush on Akshay Kumar. So she said, A for Akshay. And my parents became so innovative that they said, oh yes, ये हम भूल कैसे सकते हैं? Because Akshay is the only name that is left in this universe, starting from A. So I got this name Akshay, which I never liked. Why? Because जब भी मैं बड़ा हो रहा था, people used to ask me, hey, Akshay, what's your name? I used to say Akshay. Akshay Kumar or Akshay Khanna. This had to be every time, and I had to like tell, no, that's Akshay Sonker. So yes, now I'm going to start with my storytelling. So I hope that it's going to be like something really good for you guys. Then at the end, we'll be doing an activity as well. But here, as being said, I have prepared a story for you guys. I really hope that it will like affect you. It will like you love it and you like it. So, कैसा लग रहा हूँ? मस्त तो लग रहा हूँ ना? थोड़ा सा नर्वस हूँ यार. That's what Kabir said to Gauri when they both were sitting in their apartment. क्योंकि पता है क्या है, अब ना कबीर की जो जिंदगी है ना, वो बहुत अमेजिंग हो गई थी, बहुत अमेजिंग हो गई थी. क्यों? Because he had Gauri with him. उसके पास नौकरी थी, पैसा था, everything he had. And he was just waiting for Christmas, you know. He just wanted to make this Christmas the best Christmas of his life. क्यों? क्योंकि उसके पास सब कुछ था जो कि सो कॉल्ड एक हैप्पी जिंदगी में चाहिए होता है हम लोगों को. दैट इज एक लड़की हो, पैसा हो और नौकरी हो. बट यू नो, जब कभी कभी होता है ना कि जिंदगी में सब कुछ होकर किसी एक चीज की कमी बहुत ज्यादा खलती है. और कबीर को जो बहुत सारी खुशियों में जो एक छोटी सी कमी खल रही थी ना, वो कमी थी उस एक ग्रीटिंग कार्ड की. वो जो ग्रीटिंग कार्ड जो उसके दादू से मिला करता था, जो हमेशा नवंबर तक उसे ग्रीटिंग कार्ड भेज देते थे उसे क्रिसमस का. बट दिस टाइम ही डिडंट डू इट. और उसे सारी खुशियां थोड़ी सी कम लग रही थी, क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, कभी कभी होता है कि खुशी से ना पेट भर जाता है, पर इस बार वो पेट थोड़ा सा खाली था क्योंकि दादू का ग्रीटिंग नहीं आया था. बट ही डिडंट इवन टेल गौरी, क्योंकि बीइंग अ macho guy, he just can't show his sensitive side to a girl or something like that. So he was just sitting with Gauri, he was chilling with Gauri, and they both were like watching Friends. I hope कि आप लोगों में से बहुत सारे लोग होंगे जिन्हें फ्रेंड्स बहुत पसंद होगा. मैं उसके उन्हीं सीजन को इतनी बार देख चुका हूँ कि मुझे हर एक चीज याद है. So they were doing the same thing. ऑन रिपीट चलता था, जैसे खत्म हो जाता था वापस चलने जाता था. तो वही वो लोग जब देख रहे थे, वहीं एकदम से कॉल आया रोजी का. कबीर ने देखा रोजी का कॉल आया. बट यू नो, आजकल की हमारी जो जिंदगी है, आजकल की जितनी हमारी रिलेशनशिप्स हैं, उसमें एक वाली प्रॉब्लम हमेशा होती है, या तो गर्लफ्रेंड को बॉयफ्रेंड से, या बॉयफ्रेंड को गर्लफ्रेंड से, या फ्रेंड को फ्रेंड से, या फ्रेंड को फ्रेंड से. जो भी होता है, ये होता है कि तुम जब मेरे साथ भी रहती हो ना, या तुम भी जब भी मेरे साथ रहते हो ना, तुम मेरे साथ होते ही नहीं हो यार. यू आर ऑलवेज ग्लू टू योर सेल फोन. तो इस बार उस शिकायत को मिटाने के लिए ही जस्ट लुक एट द सेल फोन जहां पर रोजी का फोन आ रहा था, एंड ही जस्ट ओवर. गौरी ने देखा कि फोन आ रहा था. तो ही से कबीर की, हे वहां पर फोन आ रहा है तुम्हारा. तो उसने कहा हाँ, रोजी का फोन है. तो गौरी से कि तो उठाओ, बताओ तो उसे. तो कहता है रियली? तो कहती है ऑब्वियसली. उसने फोन उठाया, कहता है हाँ रोजी बोलो. फिर रोजी सेड कि कबीर, मतलब बाबा, दादू इजंट वेल. हाँ, मतलब उनकी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है. So he like really want, and even I wish that you could come, तो प्लीज आ जाओ. एंड उसके बाद कुछ बोला जो कि ऐसे लगा कि थोड़ी सी शांति सी हो गई. होता है ना जिंदगी में जिनको हम देखते हैं बड़े होते हुए, we just don't want them to like grow old, and we just always, because वो हमारे ना क्या होते हैं, रोल मॉडल होते हैं, वो हमारे हीरोज होते हैं. एंड when something happens to them, it feels like कि कुछ हो गया है. क्योंकि क्या होता था ना कि जब भी उसके पास वो ग्रीटिंग कार्ड आता था, ही नेवर यूज्ड टू लाइक गेट वेरी एक्साइटेड अबाउट इट बिकॉज नाउ इट हैज बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ हिज लाइफ कि हाँ ग्रीटिंग आना है दादू की तरफ से. बट दिस टाइम व्हेन ही डिडंट गेट दैट ग्रीटिंग कार्ड, सो ही फेल्ट लाइक यार क्रिसमस थोड़ा अधूरा है यार, वो ग्रीटिंग तो उसे चाहिए था और इसी की तो वो वेट कर रहा था. उसने फोन काटा, फिर से वो फ्रेंड्स देखने लगा. गौरी सेठ कि क्या बोला, तो ही सेठ कि कुछ नहीं, दादू दादू इज इन वेल. उसने कहा सो, कहते हैं he is on artificial oxygen. She said, what are you saying? Then what are you doing here? You should go, right? Then he said कि but हमारे क्रिसमस का क्या, हम लोग क्रिसमस. She said, Kabir, that's your dadu. You should go there. You should spend time with him. And that's the most beautiful thing a partnership can, partner can do. That you to understand the other person's feeling, the other person's emotions, the other person's connect. And that's what Gauri did. That she understood that by that time he like really wanted to go, just because कि गौरी को ना बुरा लग जाए, he just didn't want to say कि मुझे जाना है. But yes, उसने पूछा कि क्या सच में मैं जाऊं, तो कहती obviously dude, you have got a promotion, you have got everything. Now you should go and just talk to him. And that's what he did. कि कबीर गया, उन्हीं गलियों में वो जाकर खड़ा था अपने उसी सामान के साथ, जिन गलियों के कोनों में नुक्कड़ हर एक जगह पर उसकी यादें बसी थी. आज भी वो जो दुकान थी वो उतनी ही छोटी सी थी, उतनी ही क्यूट सी थी, जिसके अंदर वो लाल कलर की इमली. कभी आप लोगों ने खाई है अपने बचपन में? हम लोग खाया करते थे. आई होप आपने भी खाई होगी. जो लाल कलर की इमली होती थी, अभी भी स्वाद आ जाता है. दूसरे थोड़ा सा वो उस गली में ही आगे बढ़ा तो वहां पर दूसरी दुकान देखी कि उस दुकान के अंदर वो कंचे वाली लेमन पिया करता था. वो जो लेमन की बोतल होती थी ना, जो ठक से कंचे को नीचे करो और फिर लेमन पी जाओ. हालांकि अब बड़े हो गए तो लगता है ओ माय गॉड कैसे बना होगा एंड ऑल दैट, ये सारी चीजें, बहुत सारी चीजें दिमाग में आती हैं. लेकिन उस वक्त पर जब बचपना जी रहे थे तो बचपना सबसे खूबसूरत था. तो जैसे जैसे वो गलियों में आगे बढ़ रहा था, हालांकि वो जो गलियां थी जो बचपन में उसके बहुत बड़ी लगती थी, आज वो बहुत छोटी लग रही थी क्योंकि आज वो बहुत बड़ा हो गया था. लेकिन खूबसूरत क्या था ना कि आज भी वो छोटी सी और वो पतली सी गलियां इतने बड़े इंसान की इतनी बड़ी यादों को बटोर कर बैठी थी. एंड दैट वाज द मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल थिंग. आगे बढ़ा तो बुढ़ी के बाल वाले वो बाबा फिर से दिखाई दिए जो बचपन में उसे वो बुढ़ी के बाल दिया करते थे. शुगर कैंडी जिसे कहते हैं, उसे वो बुढ़ी के बाल कहा करते थे कबीर लोग. और बचपन में वो सारे के सारे बहुत खुशी के साथ उसे खाया करते थे. आगे बढ़ा उन गलियों में तो वही छोटे छोटे घर, वही लोग, वैसी ही गलियां, बस थोड़ी सी बुजुर्ग हो गई थी वो इमारतें, वो बिल्डिंग. बट यस, इट हैड दैट चार्म, दैट ओल्ड वाइब, जो मतलब उसके बचपन को वापस से वो उसी मिट्टी को सूंघ पा रहा था, महसूस कर पा रहा था. तो ऐसे ही करते 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 वो पहुंच गया अपने उसी दादू के घर, जहां वो कभी अपनी माँ का हाथ पकड़ के आया करता था. पर आज बिन माँ के, अपनी मम्मी के बिना ही वो वहां पर पहुंच गया था. वहां पहुंचा तो ऐसे लगा जैसे बहुत सारी यादों ने एक साथ बोला हो, धप्पा. हम लोग खेला करते हैं छुपन छुपाई, तो बिल्कुल वैसे ही हुआ. और फिर उसने दरवाजे पर हमेशा की तरह लात मारी. दरवाजे की चौखट से चाबी गिरी, वो छोटी सी चाबी जिस पर जंग लग गया था. उसने वो चाबी को उठाया, साथ में घर के ही दरवाजे के एक लेटर बॉक्स लगा था. उसने उस जंग लगे ताले को ऐसे करके खोला. जंग लग चुका था तो थोड़ा कस की खोला, और गेट क्योंकि बंद था तो उसने कस की खोला, और कुछ धूल के साथ वो यादें ताजा हो गई. पर जानते हैं, आज उस लेटर बॉक्स के अंदर लेटर्स नहीं थे, क्योंकि वो जो लेटर बॉक्स में लेटर्स आया करते थे ना, वो खुद कबीर लिखा करता था अपने दादा को. पर क्योंकि अब वो बड़ा हो गया था, 13 साल से उसने कोई लेटर नहीं लिखा था, कोई हाल चाल नहीं लिया था उस तरह से, तो बस उन यादों की तरह और उस लेटर बॉक्स की तरह वो कुछ पल बिल्कुल ठंडे थे। तो बस अब वो वक्त आ गया था जब उसे दरवाजा खटखटाना था और वैसे ही छोटे छोटे पैरों से भागते हुए जाना था दादू के पास और दादू के जाकर एकदम से गले लग जाना था कि दादू मैं आ गया। पर आज जब उसने दरवाजा खटखटाया तो एकदम से दरवाजा खुला और वहां सामने रोजी खड़ी थी। रोजी के चेहरे पर मानो ऐसे सिलवटें पड़ गई थी जैसे पर्दे में पड़ जाती है ना, जब बिना आयन करके बिना प्रेस करे आप पर्दे को टांग देते हैं, बिल्कुल उस तरह से कुछ सिलवटें थी चेहरे पर जो कि उम्र ने दे दी थी। लेकिन वो जानते थे कि जो है ना, ये जो सिलवटें हैं ये शायद खुशी कि वो प्रेस अगर लगे और मुस्कुराहट आ रही चेहरे पर तो शायद वो शिकन और शिकायतें शायद दूर हो जाएं जो कि वक्त ने दे दी हैं उस चेहरे पर। तो रोजी ने देखते ही कहा, बाबा आप आ गए, बाबा जल्दी आइए जल्दी आइए, दादू आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। और वहां पर वो जो छोटे छोटे से पैर दौड़ा करते थे और जो बड़े हो गए थे और हिचकिचा रहे थे अंदर जाने में, क्योंकि वो दादू को कहेगा क्या, अब दादू लगते कैसे होंगे, वो कुछ नहीं जानता था। तो उसे सामान दरवाजे पर ही छोड़ा और वो अंदर चलता गया रोजी के साथ, कमरे पर कमरे कमरे पर कमरे पीछे छूटते गए छूटते गए छूटते गए और सामने दादू खड़े थे, जो कि वो सोच पा रहा था कि दादू खड़े थे लेकिन दादू तो बिस्तर पर लेटे हुए थे उस आर्टिफिशियल ऑक्सीजन के साथ। दादू ने देखा और कबीर को देखकर मुस्कुराए, मानो ऐसे लगा कि काफी वक्त में कोई इंसान मुस्कुराया हो, काफी वक्त में कुछ ऐसा हुआ हो जब वो एक्चुअल में खुश हुए हो। और वैसा ही कुछ हुआ, वो खुश थे आज। तो दादू ने उसका हाथ पकड़ लिया, इस तरह से हाथ पकड़ा जिससे वापस से उनके अंदर सांस आ गई हो, वापस से वो वक्त आ गया हो जिसे वो छोड़ना नहीं चाहते। उन्होंने कस के पकड़ लिया। तो कबीर ने दादू की उस हालत को देखते हुए कहा, दादू मैं वापस आ गया हूं। और दादू ने सिर्फ सर हिलाया, मानो कितने वक्त से उन्हें उसका इंतजार था, लेकिन कभी वो नहीं था उनके पास तो कभी वक्त नहीं था उनके पास। और आज कबीर था तो शायद आज भी उनके पास ज्यादा वक्त नहीं था। यही सब हुआ कि रोजी पीछे से रूअफ़ज़ा बनाकर ले आई, जो कि कबीर के बचपन की फेवरेट ड्रिंक हुआ करती थी, तो जल्दी से लेकर आई। तो अब क्योंकि कबीर जो है जिम करने लगा था तो उसने एक सिप लिया और कहता है, चीनी ज्यादा है रोजी। तो कहती है, अच्छा पापा मैं फिर बना लाती हूँ। तो ग्लास लेकर गई तो दादू को नींद आ गई, वो सो गए। तो कबीर उठा और फोन लगाया उसने, फोन लगाया कि गौरी से बात कर ही रहा था। तो गौरी ने पूछा कि कैसे हैं दादू। तो कहते हैं पहले जैसे बिल्कुल भी नहीं है, लेकिन जानती हो मुझे प्रॉब्लम समझ आ गई कि घर में ना इतनी नेगेटिविटी है यार, मतलब थोड़ी पॉजिटिविटी लानी पड़ेगी, घर को थोड़ा अच्छा करना होगा। ये सारी चीजें मैं बात ही कर रहा था कि पीछे से रोजी आ गई। रोजी यही कहती है, बाबा आपका रूअफ़ज़ा। कहते हैं हाँ, बात करते हुए उसने रूअफ़ज़ा लिया, पीने लग गया। फिर वो रोजी से उससे गौरी से बात कर ही रहा था कि रोजी फिर से आ गई। अच्छा बाबा एक बात बताएंगे, ये ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग कैसे करते हैं। तो उसने बोला आप ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग करेंगी। तो कहती हाँ वो कुछ खरीदना था। तो कहता है अच्छा देखिए ऐसे जाएंगे, ऐसे ऐसे करके हो जाएगा, जिसको जो भेजना आप भेज सकते हो। अच्छा, तो वो फोन लेकर समझते समझते जा ही रही थी कि कबीर फिर से गौरी से फोन पर बात करने लगा। बात कर रहा था कि रोजी फिर से आ गई। अब थोड़ा सा कबीर, जो कि आजकल की हमारी जनरेशन का हाल है कि हम लोग बड़ी जल्दी से इरिटेट हो जाते हैं, तो वो भी इरिटेट हो गया। तो आई कि बाबा ये कहते, रोजी प्लीज थोड़ी देर आप रह सकते हो, कौन इतना अर्जेंट है, किसको भेजना है आपको, बात करो ना यार। थोड़ी देर तक सन्नाटा रहा और रोजी निकल कर चली गई। और सच कहूं तो कबीर को बुरा भी नहीं लगा, क्योंकि कबीर के हिसाब से रोजी की गलती थी। कुछ ऐसे ही दिन बीतते रहे तो कबीर ने रोजी से बात करी कि मार्केट चले, कुछ सामान ले आते हैं। ये पर्दे देखो कितने पुराने हैं यार, ये बेडशीट, ओ माय गॉड ये क्या करा हुआ है यार। तो कबीर लेकर गया रोजी को अपने क्रेडिट कार्ड से पर्दे खरीदे, बेडशीट खरीदी, टीवी खरीदी, सब कुछ एलईडी सब कुछ खरीद लिया। तो घर आए तो सबसे पहले रेडियो जो था बाबा का, दादू का, उसे पैक किया पर छत्ती पे डाल दिया। टीवी को हटाकर एलईडी लगा दिया, कर्टन सुंदर करके सब कुछ एकदम टिच पिच एकदम मस्त कर दिया उसने। और उसने सोचा कि अब सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा, तो उसने गौरी कॉल लगाया और उसने बताया कि मैंने तो ये सब कर दिया, मैंने तो सारे कर्टन बदल दिए, बेडशीट बदल दी, ये सब कुछ बदल चुका है। तो गौरी ने कहा, अरे वाह क्या बात है इंटीरियर डेकोरेटर साहब, आप तो हर जगह पर जाकर अपनी छाप छोड़ देते हैं। तो हंसी रहा था कि उसकी नजर एकदम से ट्रंक पर पड़ी, जो कि परछत्ती पे पड़ा था, ऊपर की तरफ पड़ा था। जैसे हमारे सबके घर में एक शेल्फ होता है ना, जहाँ पर पुराने जो ट्रंक के अंदर सारे विंटर के कपड़े, रजाई, कंबल सब कुछ होते हैं। तो ऊपर देखा उसने और कहा, ये ट्रंक कौन यूज करता है आज के टाइम पर? और नीचे से एकदम से आवाज आई, कबाड़ी वाले। तो उसने कहा, अरे बहुत बढ़िया भैया, ऊपर आ जाओ। तो कबाड़ी वाला आ ही रहा था कि रोजी ने कहा, नहीं नहीं बाबा ऐसा नहीं करिए, क्योंकि ना इसमें क्या है ये वो। उसने कहा, आप प्लीज चुप करो यार, कितना कबाड़ मचा के रखा रोजी आपने, बहुत जरूरी है ये सब हटाना। सो व्हाट एक्चुअली हैपेंड कि उस कबाड़ी वाला आया, उसने जैसे ट्रंक निकाला और उसे वो बेचने लग गया। उसने कहा, कितने रुपए दोगे? वो कहता है, ज्यादा तो नहीं। तो कहता है, कितने दोगे जल्दी से बताओ। तो उसने कहा, 250 रुपए। कहता है, डन। तो भैया ने कहा, एक गिलास पानी मिलेगा क्या? रोजी वहीं खड़ी थी। तो कहता है, उसने देखा कि रोजी को तो बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं आया था, उसका तो मुंह बना हुआ था। तो उसने कहा, रुको रुको, मैं आपके लिए पानी लेकर आता हूँ। तो वो गया किचन में और उनके लिए पानी ले आया। जब वो पानी लेकर आया तो देखा नहीं तो वहां पर ट्रंक था और नहीं तो वहां पर कबाड़ी वाला था। तो उसने रोजी को देखा, रोजी ने कुछ नहीं कहा, वो बस मुस्कुराई और वहां से निकल गई। अब वो वक्त था जब वो बहुत खुश था आसपास कि सब कुछ अब अच्छा हो जाने वाला है। तो रात में लेट नाइट, जैसे कि हम लोगों का होता है आजकल, सारे के सारे जो लोग हैं उनकी जो रात होती है वो 1-2 बजे से पहले कभी होती है, क्योंकि सोते ही हम इतना लेट है, क्योंकि सोशल मीडिया, इंस्टाग्राम, ये सब इतना सब कुछ है हमारे पास करने को कि हम क्या क्या ना करें। तो कुछ ऐसा ही हुआ कि वो बस और बस लगा हुआ था उसी के अंदर अपने फोन में। तो वो रात में सोया तो रात के 4 बज रहे थे और एकदम से उस सन्नाटे में टक 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 एकदम से आवाज आई और वो हड़बड़ा कर उठा कबीर और जाके जल्दी से दरवाजे को खोला। वहां पर सामने रोजी खड़ी थी। रोजी ने बोला, दादू की तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, जल्दी से बाहर आइए, जल्दी से बाहर आइए। वो जल्दी से भागता हुआ गया और वहां पर वो जाकर चिल हो गया, क्योंकि वो उसे आधे घंटे से उठाने की कोशिश कर रही थी और वो इतनी गहरी नींद में था कबीर कि वो उठ ही नहीं पाया और उससे दादू की तबीयत बहुत ज्यादा खराब हो रही थी। और वहीं पर सामने उसके दादू थे जो कि सांस के लिए तड़प रहे थे। पर डॉक्टर ने जल्दी से इंजेक्शन लगाया और सब कुछ सही कर दिया, लेकिन पहले जैसा वो कुछ भी नहीं कर पाए, क्योंकि दादू की तबीयत और ज्यादा खराब हो गई थी। वो वक्त था जब 4:22 सुबह के से लेकर 7:32 तक कबीर वहीं खड़ा रहा, उन आंखों में आंसू लिए और बिना कुछ बोले, बिना अपनी जगह से हिले, वो बस खड़ा रहा, क्योंकि वो देख पा रहा था कि जिस दादू के साथ वो खेला करता था, जिन दादू के साथ वो घूमा करता था, और वो दादू थोड़े कमजोर हो गए थे। वो समझ पा रहा था कि अब कुछ भी ठीक तो नहीं होगा। और फिर एक अजीब सा सन्नाटा था जो उसे खड़े खड़े वहां पर महसूस हो रहा था। और इसी के बीच क्या हुआ कि रोजी पीछे से चलती हुई आई और रोजी ने कहा कि बाबा एक बात बोलूं, आप बुरा ना माने तो? कबीर ने कुछ नहीं कहा, बस इशारे में कहा कि बोलो। तो रोजी ने कहा कि दादू के ना जाने का वक्त आ गया है। कि कई बार जिंदगी में होता है कि हम जानते हैं असलियत, हम जानते हैं हकीकत की क्या सच है और क्या नहीं, क्या होने वाला है क्या नहीं होने वाला, बट स्टिल वी जस्ट वांट, हर एक चीज को हम झुटला देना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि उस वक्त के लिए हम चाहते हैं कि सब कुछ वैसे जैसा हो जैसा हम चाहते हैं, लेकिन ऐसा होता नहीं है। और कुछ वो ही हुआ। कबीर ने रोजी की तरफ देखा और कहा, मतलब? और वो दूसरे ही पल रोजी एक स्टूल लाई जिसके ऊपर कबीर चढ़ा और ऊपर कुछ रख दिया था, उसे उतारा वापस उसने उसे उतारा और कुछ उस पर धूल जम गए थे, तो करके उसके ऊपर कपड़ा हटाया तो वो रेडियो था। उसने वो बाबा के दादू के बेड के पास रखा और रेडियो का बटन दबाया और उसमें गाना आया, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ा। और दादू के चेहरे पर हल्की सी एक मुस्कुराहट आई, उनकी नजरें कबीर की तरफ मुड़ी और वो चैन से सो गए। इतने वक्त बाद हुआ था जब दादू जो थे वो बिना ऑक्सीजन के सो पा रहे थे, क्योंकि लोगों की माने तो अब वो नहीं रहे थे, लेकिन अब कबीर की माने तो आजाद थे, आजाद उन सफरिंग से, क्योंकि अब दादू खुश थे। तो वो वक्त आ गया था जब कबीर को वापस से चले जाना था। तो बैठा ही था कि गौरी का कॉल आ गया। पूरी तैयारी हो चुकी थी कबीर की, तो उसने फोन उठाया तो गौरी ने कहा, यार आई नो इट्स टफ फॉर यू बट यू हैव टू बी स्ट्रांग, राइट? तो कबीर ने कहा, हाँ हाँ आई नो आई नो। सो शी जस्ट सेड नथिंग। शी आस्क्ड कि क्या कर रहे थे, इतनी सांस क्यों तुम्हारी फूली हुई है? तो कहते हैं, पर्दे बदल रहा था, बेडशीट बदल रहा था, उन्हीं सारी चीजों में बस लगा हुआ था, तो बस। तो कहती है, पर तुमने अभी तो बदला था पर्दे और बेडशीट, वो सारी चीजें। नहीं नहीं। तो कहते हैं, नहीं, वो वापस से मैंने पुराने पर्दे लगा दिए, वो वापस से मैंने पुरानी बेडशीट चढ़ा दी, क्योंकि जानती हो क्या कि मेरे जो पैसे थे ना, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ कुछ नए कपड़े, जिन्हें मैं पर्दे बोल रहा था, उन्हें खरीद लाए थे, जिन्हें बेडशीट बोल रहा था वो खरीद लाए थे। लेकिन जानती हो, ये जो पर्दे थे ना, ये माँ ने सिले थे, जो कि दादू ने बहुत शौक से लगाए थे अपने घर में। ये जो बेडशीट थी, ये दादू की मम्मी ने बनाई थी, जो कि थोड़ी मटमैली हो गई, पर क्या हुआ, खूबसूरत तो है ना। और ये जो किरोशिया, जो टेबल का जो कवर है, ये दादू खुद खरीद कर लाए थे जब वो जयपुर गए थे। और मैं सोच रहा था कि ये सब कुछ कबाड़ है और ये सब शायद नेगेटिव वाइब्स बना रहा है। गौरी कुछ नहीं बोली। कहती, अच्छा कर क्या रहे हो अभी? तो कहता है, कुछ नहीं यार, बस उस चीज पर बैठा हूं जिसकी मैंने कीमत बहुत कम समझी थी, बहुत कम सोची थी। वही ट्रंक जो मैंने कबाड़ी वाले को 250 रुपए में बेच दिया था, अब इसे वापस खरीदा तो उसने 2750 रुपए में बेचा। कई बार ऐसा होता है ना जिंदगी में, जो चीज हमारे पास होती है हम उसे वैल्यू करना ही भूल जाते हैं, और जब हमसे दूर चली जाती है तो हमें एक्चुअल में उसकी कीमत समझ आती है। तो बस उसे वापस से खरीद लिया और उसे उसकी वापस से जगह पर पहुंचाना है। गौरी मुस्कुराई और बोली कि बहुत अच्छा लगा कि इस ट्रिप ने तुम्हें रिश्तों की अहमियत समझा दी, बट अब जल्दी से आ जाओ, क्रिसमस तुम्हारे साथ ही मुझे सेलिब्रेट करना है। तो कहते, या आई एम जस्ट कमिंग। तो उन दोनों का फोन डिस्कनेक्ट हुआ ही कि पीछे से रोजी आ गई कि बाबा। तो उसने कहा, हाँ। तो कहती है, अच्छा ये रही घर की चाबी, क्योंकि अब दादू तो है नहीं, तो अब मैं तो उनकी देखभाल के लिए थी ना, तो मैं चलती हूँ फिर। तो उसने बोला कि पर कहाँ जाओगे आप? तो कहती है, वो जो 3 गली पीछे वहां पर घर है ना, वहां पर मैंने किराए पर ले लिया, तब से मैं वहीं रहूंगी। तो उसने कहा, पर आप दादू की सिर्फ केयर टेकर नहीं थी, आप दादू के पास तब खड़ी थी जब हम लोग भी नहीं थे, तो इस घर पर उनसे ज्यादा हक आपका बनता है रोजी, और ये हक मैं आपसे लेना नहीं चाहता। और ध्यान रहिए, ये आपका भी घर है, और दादू के बाद इस घर की देखभाल आपसे बेटर कोई नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि मैं अगर रहा तो मैं जरूर फिर कोई पर्दे वर्दे बदल दूंगा, जो मैं बिल्कुल नहीं चाहता हूं। तो आपको क्योंकि मालूम है, तो आप ही रखिए ना इस घर को और इस घर की इन चाबियों को। रोजी ने देखा और रोजी ने कबीर का चेहरा कुछ इस तरह पकड़ा, अपने नजदीक लाया और उसके माथे को चूमा और बोला कि कबीर बाबा, भगवान करे कि आप बहुत तरक्की करो। कबीर बस मुस्कुराया और वापस आ गया, अपने वापस से बैंगलोर आ गया। वापस से वो गौरी के साथ था, वापस से उस क्रिसमस ट्री के ऊपर सारे गिफ्ट लगे थे, पूरी प्रिपरेशन हो चुकी थी, लेकिन वही ना, मुझे एक कमी थी दादू के गिफ्ट की, वो कहीं ना कहीं वो महसूस कर रहा था। पर क्या करें, लाइफ है, चीजें आगे बढ़ती हैं, आगे चलती हैं, इसी तरह से हम लोग जिंदगी जीते हैं। बट जानते हैं फिर क्या हुआ? एकदम से बेल बजी, टंग टंग। कबीर गया, उसने दरवाजा खोला तो वहां पर डिलीवरी मैन खड़ा था। उसने एक बुके दिया और एक ग्रीटिंग कार्ड दिया। जिस तरह से इस वक्त मेरे गूज़बम्स आए हैं, उसी तरह से कबीर के आ गए। उसे जल्दी से हड़बड़ाहट में ग्रीटिंग कार्ड खोला और देखा कि उसमें लिखा था, डियर कबीर, मेरी क्रिसमस फ्रॉम दादू। और वो हैरान था कि ये ग्रीटिंग दादू ने भेजा कैसे। वहीं पर एकदम से उसका फोन वाइब्रेट किया, उसने फोन बाहर निकाला और वहां से उसने फोन उठाया तो वो रोजी थी। रोजी जो सब पूछ रही थी कि भैया ऑनलाइन किस तरह से गिफ्ट भेजे जाते हैं, जिस पर वो चिड़चिड़ा भी गया था कि अरे यार क्या है यार, आपको सब कुछ करना है क्या है। रोजी ने उसके लिए वो ग्रीटिंग कार्ड भेजा था क्योंकि वो दादू की इस परंपरा को टूटने नहीं देना चाहती थी। तो आज उसका जो मेरी क्रिसमस का जो कार्ड था वो उसके हाथ में था। तो जैसे ही फोन उठाया कबीर ने, उसे कान में लगाया तो रोजी बोली, दादू आज भी आपके साथ हैं, इस क्रिसमस और हर एक क्रिसमस रहेंगे बाबा। तो बिल्कुल भी कभी मत सोचिएगा कि कोई भी क्रिसमस आपका अधूरा जाने वाला है अपने दादू के बिना और उनके इस ग्रीटिंग कार्ड के बिना। वो वक्त था जब ऐसा लगा कबीर को कि मानो खुशी से पेट भर गया हो। वो इतना खुश हुआ कि वो जल्दी से दौड़ता हुआ गया, सारे महंगे महंगे गिफ्ट को साइड किया और उसने उस एक तोहफे को, अपने दादू के उस कार्ड को क्रिसमस ट्री के सबसे करीब रखा, क्योंकि वो जो तोहफा था उसके लिए सब कुछ था। तो इसी तरह से कबीर की यहां से स्टोरी खत्म हुई, लेकिन आपकी इस मेरी क्रिसमस की स्टोरी जरूर यहां से शुरू होगी। आई रियली होप कि ये वाली कहानी आपको अच्छी लगी हो। आपको और इस चीज को आगे लेकर जाने के लिए आई लाइक रियली होप कि कोई मेरे साथ कनेक्ट करे अब, क्योंकि अब हम एक्टिविटी करने वाले हैं एक बहुत छोटी सी और बहुत प्यारी सी, जिसके अंदर, क्योंकि बीइंग अ स्टोरी टेलर, वन थिंग व्हिच यू लाइक रियली वांट टू नो इज दैट यू हैव टू बी लाइक रियली स्पॉन्टेनियस। तो अब मैं चाहूंगा कि कुछ कुछ लोग प्लीज अपने कैमरास खोलें, क्योंकि अब जो एक्टिविटी है उसके अंदर जरूरी नहीं कि आप सब बहुत ज्यादा सुंदर लगें, और सारे के सारे हम सारे वैसे भी दीपिका पादुकोण और रणवीर सिंह और रणबीर कपूर हैं ही ऑलरेडी, वी हैव टू बिलीव दिस। और अब जो एक्टिविटी होने वाली है उसके अंदर ये है कि आपको कोई भी 3 वर्ड्स मुझे देने हैं, जो भी रैंडम वर्ड्स आपके मन में आते हैं, 3 वर्ड्स कोई से भी, एंड मैं आपको उसकी स्टोरी बनाकर दूंगा। ओके, सो आपका टाइम शुरू होता है अब। सो बिकॉज आई नो शीजो, सो मैं चाहूंगा कि वो कोई से वर्ड्स दे ताकि आप लोग समझ सके कि आपको बेसिकली करना क्या है, राइट? सो लेट्स बिगिन, एंड आई जस्ट लाइक रियली वांट टू नो दैट हाउ इट्स गोइंग टू हैपन।
Is it okay? Is it okay if I
हेलो,
अटक गया शायद।
हाँ अटक गया, हाँ
Hello.
हाय हाँ।
Is it okay if I give you words?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So what about
आवाज फिर से कट रही है। मुझे बहुत ही 3 खूबसूरत सा वर्ड मिले, यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा नेटवर्क का प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, बट हाँ, या हाय। सो नेटवर्क का थोड़ा सा इशू है, बट आई हैव गॉट 3 वर्ड्स, kettle, jackfruit और
What
Wi-Fi.
about these 3 words? I forgot actually. Dil, Rasta and Dimag. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
sure. Yeah, definitely. दिल, रास्ता और दिमाग। तो अक्सर ये चीज बोलते हैं ना यार लाइफ में कि जब किसी से प्यार होता है ना, तो हमारा जो दिल है वो ज्यादा काम करने लग जाता है, और अधिकतर टाइम क्या होता है ना कि हम जो अपने जो सही रास्ते होते हैं उनसे भटक जाते हैं, क्योंकि दिल जब ज्यादा काम करने लग जाता है तो दिमाग को हम साइड में रख देते हैं। लेकिन क्या जरूरी होता है ना कि हम हमेशा इस चीज का ध्यान रखें कि जब भी किसी से मोहब्बत करें तो दिमाग का भी इस्तेमाल करा जाए। क्योंकि क्या होता है ना कि कई बार प्यार करने के रास्ते में हम लोग इतना भटक जाते हैं कि अपनी सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट भूल जाते हैं, जो कि कभी नहीं होना चाहिए। सबसे पहले मोहब्बत, सबसे पहले प्यार, सबसे पहले दिल लगाओ खुद से, फिर खुद ब खुद रास्ता मिल जाएगा जब दिमाग से फैसले होंगे। So this is how I like try to incorporate these 3 words. So this is how we'll be like making these stories. I hope that I did justice to your words because we'll be doing बहुत सारी अच्छी छोटी stories. तो एक मुझे मिला था जैकफ्रूट, केटल एंड वाईफाई। ओके, सो जैकफ्रूट से ना क्या था कि जब भी मैं नानी के घर जाया करता था तो सारे बच्चों को अच्छा लगता है ना कि यार मुझे भिंडी पसंद है या मुझे बैंगन का भरता पसंद है, ऑल दैट थिंग। आई ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू लाइक जैकफ्रूट। तो मेरी जो नानी थी ना वो हमेशा जैकफ्रूट बनाया करती थी, और उनके जो टेबल पर पड़ी हुई केटल होती थी वो मुझे बड़ा फैसिनेट करती थी। तो मैं क्या करता था ना उनके केटल के साथ खेलते 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 पूरा का पूरा जैकफ्रूट का जो वो होता था सब्जी, वो पूरी की पूरी खा जाता था, जो कि बाकी सारे मेरे कजन को बहुत ही ज्यादा बेस्वाद लगती थी। तो वो वक्त कितना अच्छा था ना यार, जब हमारी जो नेटवर्किंग थी वो जुबान से होती थी, वर्ड से होती थी, वाईफाई से नहीं। तब हम एक साथ मिलकर एक दूसरे को हाई फाई देते थे इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट नीड ऑफ जस्ट दैट वाईफाई। लेकिन आज भी बहुत खूबसूरत है ये कि ये जो ये कद्दू जैसे, जो जैकफ्रूट जैसे हमारी जिंदगी हो चुकी है, इसके अंदर वाईफाई भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगी। क्योंकि ऐसे तो अगर वाईफाई अभी ना होता तो हम लोग उस कैफे के अंदर बंद रहते यार, जहां पर हम लोग ना एक दूसरे से मिल पाते ना बातें हो पाती। तो इस आज के समय में वाईफाई का होना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि इस वाईफाई के चलते ही हम एक दूसरे को कर पा रहे हैं हाई फाई। So this is how I have like incorporated these 3 words: jackfruit, kettle, and Wi-Fi. Looking for some more words. इसी तरह से आप मारते रहो words मेरे पर मारते रहो, and I'll be like try to make these stories for you. यह सन्नाटा ना बिल्कुल ही अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है। एक तो वैसे ही इतना ज्यादा सन्नाटा हर जगह पर है, क्रिसमस का टाइम आ रहा है, खुशियां मनाओ, कोई सा भी वर्ड्स दो जो मन में आ रहा है। मुझे पता है आधे लोग बहुत कंफर्ट जोन में, आधे अपने बिस्तर में बैठे हैं, आधे कहीं कहीं पर बैठे हैं, बट अब उससे थोड़ा सा बाहर निकलो, 3 वर्ड्स दो और आई विल मेकिंग स्टोरी फॉर यू। ओके, हेयर, रोड और मून। वाह क्या बात है, सच अ रोमांटिक वर्ड नो। हेयर, मून एंड व्हाट वाज द थर्ड वन? हेयर, मून एंड रोड। ओके, तो जब गौरी को मोहब्बत हुई शीजो से, तो जब गौरी को शीजो से मोहब्बत हुई ना, तो बस उसका रास्ता ताकती थी, उस खिड़की पर बैठकर अपने बालों को संवारती थी कि कब शीजो आएगा उस रोड पर, उस सड़क पर, कब वो उसे देख पाएगी। उसके इंतजार में सुबह से लेकर शाम हो जाती थी, चांद निकल आता था और फिर शीजो आया करता था। जब जब चांद निकलता था तब तब शीजो आता था। तो हमेशा खिड़की पर बैठकर उस चांद का इंतजार करती थी, अपने बाल संवारते हुए, अपने हेयर संवारते हुए, कि उस सड़क पर कब वो शीजो को देख पाएगी और कब दूर से कह पाएगी, ओ माय गॉड दैट्स शीजो, हाय शीजो। तो इस तरह से आई लाइक ट्राई टू लाइक इनकॉर्पोरेट दीस 3 वर्ड्स, हेयर, मून एंड रोड। या मुझे ना नाम भी बताओ। ओके, गाजियाबाद से अलीना शकीरा, विस्कर, विंटर्स एंड लोगोस। whiskers, whiskers, logos and winters. Whiskers, logos and whiskers, logos and winters. विस्कर्स कैसे है? विस्क, दैट विस्क वाला थिंग, विस्कर्स, विस्कर्स, विंटर्स, ओके, विस्कर्स, या विस्कर्स, तो या लीना दैट्स विस्कर्स, ओके ठीक है, विस्कर्स, विंटर्स, एंड तीसरा था अपना लोगोस, राइट? So being a graphic designer, बोई था, बोई, ओके। सो व्हाट ही यूज्ड टू डू, लाइक ड्यूरिंग द विंटर्स, जो कि बहुत ही कोजी सा, बहुत ही रोमांटिक सा माहौल लगता है मुझे, जहाँ पर हम आराम से बैठकर बहुत सही तरीके से अपने को वार्म रख सकते हैं और अच्छी अच्छी बातें कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि यू नो जब ठंड में ऊपर से ब्लैंकेट आ जाती है क्विल्ट के अंदर, ओहो हो, और लेट नाइट हमारी चैट्स चलती हैं, तो सबसे ज्यादा बेस्ट माहौल रहता है। तो इसी तरह से ब्लैंकेट को अपने ऊपर लिए वो बैठा था, कौन? भोई, जो ग्राफिक डिजाइनर बना रहा था लोगो, और साथ में सर्दी का वो माहौल, दैट विंटर्स वाला फील, एंड साथ में क्या चीज चाहिए होती है, क्या चीज चाहिए होती है? कॉफी यार, कॉफी, कॉफी रख कर उसे विस्क कर रहा था ढेर सारा, बिकॉज ही लाइक रियली हैड टू कंप्लीट दैट प्रोजेक्ट पूरी रात में बैठकर, और उसे वो अच्छे से कॉफी को विस्क करके, दैट सो दैट ही कैन गेट अ वेरी नाइस कॉफी, उसे विस्क करके ठंड के माहौल में बैठकर आराम से कॉफी पीने वाला था। So this is how I would like try to incorporate these three words: whisker and winter and logos. Okay, so he was making, in winters he was sitting and making logos while whisking that coffee, you know. So yeah.
Next three words.
Yeah.
Next three words.
हाँ, चाय पर तो सच में मैं मरता हूँ यार, और चाय से ज्यादा रोमांटिक कोई चीज है इस दुनिया में? बिल्कुल भी नहीं है यार। तो जो चाय के साथ जो रोमांस होता है ना, उससे बेटर रोमांस कहीं पर बने दुनिया में? बिल्कुल भी नहीं। एंड फॉर अ थिएटर पर्सन लाइक मी, जो कि मतलब अपने गले को जब चिल्ला चिल्ला के हम लोग आओ आओ नाटक देखो करके जब गले को बिठा लेते थे ना, तो ऐसा लगता है गले की हमारी डेथ हो गई है, गले की हमारी मौत हो चुकी है। बट स्टिल एट दैट टाइम हम लोगों के लिए जो वो होता था ना, एक चाय, वो सबसे बेटर रहता था, सबसे बेस्ट। तो जोधपुर से आए हैं बहुत ही खूबसूरत से वर्ड, कौन कौन से थे? लैपटॉप, मोदी जी, एंड व्हाट द थर्ड वन वाज? एक बार फिर से बताना यार प्लीज। मोदी जी, लैपटॉप, मोदी जी लैपटॉप, प्लीज 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 प्लीज। हाँ,
पतंग।
काइट, अरे वाह, अरे वाह, ठीक है। तो जब भी मोदी जी कोई भी स्पीच देते हैं ना, तो हम लोग बैठकर लैपटॉप पर उसे देख रहे होते हैं, लेकिन फिर ना ऐसे लगता है कि मानो कोई पतंग उड़ा रहा है और हम लोग थोड़ा बहुत लपेट सकते हैं। सो इट्स ऑलवेज दैट काइंड ऑफ अ फेस्टिव मूड। जब भी मोदी जी आए हैं इसके अंदर हमारे स्पीचेस देने के लिए, तो एक हमेशा एक वो क्या 15 अगस्त वाला आजादी वाला एकदम माहौल बन जाता है, और हम सारे के सारे बहुत ज्यादा खुश हो जाते हैं, सारे सारे, कभी हम लोग प्लेट बजाते हैं, तो कभी ये वो, हमने बहुत कुछ किया है वैसे। सो वी आर लाइक really we are like very innovative, just like Modi ji, whenever he like comes up with different thoughts। तो हाँ, जब भी मोदी जी आते हैं तो हम तय के साथ लैपटॉप पे बैठते हैं कि अब क्या होने वाला है, अब क्या होने वाला है नया, और फिर एकदम वो वाला माहौल हो जाता है 15 अगस्त पर, जहाँ पर हमें लगता है बस अब हम सारे इस कोरोना से आजाद हो चुके हैं, और अब हम लोग बाहर निकलेंगे और सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा अगर हमने ये वाला चीज कर लिया तो। So this is how I have incorporated these three words: kite, Modi ji, and what was the third one? Laptop. Yeah. More words, more words, more words. इसी तरह से I hope that it's exciting you, right? It's exciting for you. Yes.
So Akshay, yeah, three words: natak, passion, and rozgar. This
You know,
will be the
हमेशा
last.
से या बचपन से हमें एक चीज सिखाई गई है कि नाटक अगर तुम कर रहे हो ना, या नौटंकी बाज हो या एक्टर हो, तो वो ना सिर्फ तुम्हारा एक हॉबी या तुम्हारा सिर्फ पैशन बन के रह सकता है, उससे कभी तुम्हें रोजगार नहीं मिल सकता। ठीक है, तो अपने पैशन को नहीं फॉलो करो, इंस्टेड उस पैरामीटर्स को, उस चीज को, स्ट्रक्चर को फॉलो करो जो कि हमेशा से लोग करते आए हैं। बट यू नो व्हाट, हम हर एक बंदा एक्टर है, हम सब जो हैं नौटंकी हैं. ओके, सो इट्स लाइक रियली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड, क्योंकि जो मैं हूं, मैं यहाँ कुछ अलग हूं, अपने पेरेंट्स के सामने कुछ अलग हूं, अपने फ्रेंड्स के सामने कुछ अलग हूं, अपने गर्लफ्रेंड के सामने अलग हूं, अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ अलग हूं. तो हर एक इंसान अलग अलग रोल्स निभाता है. और पता है, अपने जब तुम पैशन को फॉलो करते हो ना दिल से, तो वो खुद ब खुद रोजगार देने लगता है. So this is what really important. And as being said by Shijo, this was the last one. But I like really hope that you people might have enjoyed it, because I like really enjoyed. क्योंकि सबसे पहले जो मेरी मॉर्निंग को हैप्पी मॉर्निंग और एनर्जेटिक मॉर्निंग तो आप लोगों के सॉन्ग ने बना दिया था, जो कि फुल टू एनर्जी के साथ चला. एंड देन वो दिस थिंग दिस थिंग दिस थिंग, एंड व्हाट वाज द फोर्थ वन, दिस थिंग. So yes, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I really hope कि मेरा जो स्टोरी टेलिंग है वो भी आपको इतना अच्छा लगा हो. And then this activity, which was spontaneous, which was for you, which just wanted to tell you that yes, Merry Christmas, and let's make this Christmas like the best Christmas of our lives, because we have everything we should be thankful for. So इस बार फिर से हम क्रिसमस ट्री को सजाएंगे उन रिश्तों की तरह जैसे हम संजोते हैं. क्योंकि हर एक जो क्रिसमस ट्री का जो टीयर होता है ना, डिफरेंट 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 जितनी भी लीव्स होती है ना, दैट शोज ईच वन ऑफ अस कमिंग टुगेदर टू मेक दैट वन ट्री, एंड दैट इज द ट्री ऑफ हैप्पीनेस, एंड दैट इज द सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ मेरी क्रिसमस. So yeah, this is it. So I like really hope that you enjoyed it. Shijo, over to you.
Thanks, Akshay.
Wow, that was such a fantastic way to narrate a story. I, Ashish Joseph, the Prayatna Logistics Head, on behalf of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, thank Mr. Akshay for such a unique and wonderful session. Storytelling is an almost forgotten art in this digital era. I hope the viewers get inspired by the story which Mr. Akshay narrated and the tips he shared to us today. I thank him for being a part of LOGOS 2020. If anyone wants to hear more from him or connect with him, Mr. Akshay, they may connect to him via Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you so much.
Expecto Patronum. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Well, next up is an interesting session about which will be briefed by Feba Mariam Panikar, and she'll also introduce the speaker for the same.
How many of you have read the Harry Potter books? Or have you seen the movies at least? Okay, I'll just repeat it. How many of you have read the Harry Potter books? I have. Or how many of you at least seen the movies? I always wanted to do this. Does this spell sound familiar? Expecto Patronum. That rings a bell, right? A disclaimer, however, this session doesn't have any relation to Harry Potter. Okay, so it is my honor to introduce our resource person, Professor Sabu John, for leading this session. Professor Sabu John is a faculty at Christ deemed to be University. Sir will be conducting a session on the historical overview of the Orthodox faith. We welcome you, sir. I request you to take over the session.
Thank you so much, Delhi MGOCSM team. Just let me know if I'm audible and visible to you. I guess I am. One of you can just prompt me.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir,
I'm
yes,
just
sir.
gonna share my screen as well. So just let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, I do not have the sharing rights. Is there a possibility that you give me the screen sharing right?
Access given.
Okay. Yes, I can see that. Yeah, just to check if my screen is visible.
Visible.
Okay, let me try to cast my spell. Anyways, thank you so much. I'm really happy and glad to be here to have all of you on board for this session. So before breaking the suspense on what exactly my session is going to be, it is going to be something about the Orthodox faith. But what is it? I shall tell you in a while. But before that, I'm hoping all participants online will participate with me. So all of you right here with me on the screen, can you just put both your palms up? I can see some of you, most of you. Put your palms up, please. Yes, thank you. Yes, I can see both of you there. Okay, then I want you to just rotate it in different directions. Okay, so I want you to do as I say. Okay, please do as I say. Rotate your hands. Okay, then as you rotate it, then I want you to just clap your hands. Yeah, you're clapping your hands. Once you're done clapping, then I want you to touch your forehead. You touch your forehead, and finally I want you to touch your chin. Good. Some of you are alert, some of you are not. This is chin and this is not the chin. So great. Good going. So let's get started. So before we get started, I have only 30 minutes and I have 50 slides with me, and I have promised that I will present the best slides. No, I'm not. I'm just going to take you through some bits of stories of our church. We have had a wonderful storytelling session, so we will take that thing forward. So before I could do that, for one last time, I will require your participation with me. Close your eyes. Do not pray. Don't pray. I'm telling you, please do not pray, but close your eyes. I want you to just close your eyes. Try and see if you can sit straight in a comfortable position. You can be on your couch, bed, wherever you are. Just make sure that you're comfortable. As you are comfortable, I would like you to just observe the rate at which you are breathing. You do not have to moderate it. Just observe how the breath goes in and it comes out. Now that you are aware of your breath, I would like you to consciously increase your breath. That is, take in more deeper breath, hold it for a while, and then release, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. We'll do it for thrice. Okay, thank you so much. So let's get going. So the moment you've heard Expecto Patronum, some of you know that this is something got to do with Harry Potter. Okay, but here is it. Can someone quickly tell me in the chat box, or you can unmute also, that's up to you. What does Expecto Patronum mean? If you have learned the spells, or what does it mean? Have you ever tried to decode? I think for the first time we hear Expecto Patronum in part 3, I think in Prisoner of Azkaban. When Harry was there, the Death Eaters were coming, he says Expecto Patronum. What do you think that the statement is, Expecto Patronum? Anybody, quick response? Do I get to read the chats? I think I will, right? In case there are any chats coming, do let me know, the moderating team. Or you guys can unmute also.
Sabu Bhaiya, can I try?
Yes, go ahead.
It was actually a spell used to give out a positive energy which would fight the evil.
Yes, you are correct. It was, the purpose was that, but without much ado, the meaning of this word Expecto Patronum means I am expecting a patron. I am expecting a patron. So I hope all of you know who a patron is. Patron is nothing but maybe Kaval Pidava or someone who is guarding you or saving you or helping you is what this thing means. I'm expecting a patron. So you've seen in that movie, I don't know if I'm actually taking a lesson on Harry Potter today, but yeah, if you've seen that movie, you'll see each of them have a different the Patronum coming there. Some of them have a deer, some of them have I don't know, a panther or a rabbit, all of that coming up. Okay, so now I'm going to relate it with my session. So my session today is knowing the pillars of the Orthodox faith. So when you are here currently in your day-to-day lives, when there are Death Eaters or someone who's actually stealing your tiffin or troubling you or whatever it is, you can also call your patron, the Orthodox patron. But who is that Orthodox patron that you should call off? So I am actually going to take you through a session today about the overview of the Orthodox Church, the history. So trust me, I'm not going to talk each year, what happened in every year and the entire church history. No, I'm going to pick some important events, particularly in the first 4 centuries. And from there, I'm going to talk about a few quick fathers of the church who will give you an idea of how they have lived. And you can maybe call them at your time of trouble using the spell Expecto Patronum. That is, you can imitate them or you can call them for refuge because they have been in your similar situation. So before I get into introducing the different patrons for you or the church fathers, here's some quick bits for you. This is something that all of us need to know, at least, and as an overview. People say, are you a Catholic or a Protestant? No, I'm an Orthodox guy. So this is how the overall view of our church looks from the time of Christ, almost till 700, 800 AD. It was one Holy Catholic Church. Catholic does not mean the Roman Catholic. Catholic means universal. It was a universal church. It was around the schism of 1054, where Roman Catholic Church divided into a branch, and then from there the Reformist movement and then the Protestant movement happened, whereas the Orthodox Church continued in different parts. Quickly moving forward, if you see this thing here, in the Indian setup, so we started with AD 52 when St. Thomas came to Kerala. We can also say St. Thomas had come to India prior to that from a different route. But all the way you will see up to the different schisms that started off here in 1665, where the Portuguese had come. Then we have had the Reformist movement over there. Then you will see the different categorizations over here. I'm not going to take this full session or history right now. My predominant focus for today's session is these numbers, that is starting off from 0, not 0 AD, maybe 33 AD, where the Christ was crucified or he was resurrected. So the early church, from that point of time till almost 400 AD, 500 AD, that is the first 5 centuries, is what I am going to touch up. And I'm not going to simply tell you the history, but I'm going to help you find out some patrons who will help you in your times of trouble. So to understand this, we need to firstly understand AD 64, the first prominent event in Christian history, which is the fire in Rome. So when a fire broke out in Rome, the emperor there at that point of time, anybody who wants to take a guess? Very famous guy?
Nero.
Correct.
Nero,
perfect.
right?
Nero. Yes, it was Nero. Thank you for responding. So Nero was a powerful Roman emperor at that point of time. So the entire city of Rome suddenly started burning for almost few weeks, and half of the city, that is the capital, was suddenly burned down. At that point of time, that's one of the reasons why I have used this picture. Nero was found to be kind of fiddling and playing around and kind of was happy there. And there were many suspects that maybe Nero himself has done it, because one of the reasons, he wanted a very nice urban capital, not in the typical traditional way. He wanted maybe the circular buildings in triangular shapes. I don't know if you're connecting to some of the contemporary stories, I don't know. So he wanted something like that. So he decided very conveniently to do a mischief or an act like this. So Rome burnt, but what's the implication for Christians? So as obvious, Nero very conveniently said it was because of Christians that the city burned, not because Christians put the fire, because he simply said Christians did not believe the gods of the Roman emperor. So therefore Christians are pagans, or Christians do not have values or cultures according to the Roman culture. So therefore Christians brought bad luck, and that's the reason the entire city of Rome burned. How lame, isn't it? But yeah, that's the truth. We see that even in our contemporary days, how people come up with random excuses for the actual reasons or things there. But the picture that you're seeing here right now is the Roman arena. Some of the leftovers are already there. So the so-called Olympics that you see today, Olympics was actually a way of distracting people at that point of time. That is, warriors and people were brought to the arena, that is the stadium, and they were entertained because the actual political scene was bad. People should not be focusing there. So Christians who had to be persecuted there, Nero just brought them and threw them here, like how you see in this picture. They were crucified, they were burned, they were put to animals, and they still survived. So they say every time Christianity suffered persecution, they actually grew stronger. So this is the first part around AD 64. Then moving forward, in AD 70, the next Roman governor who also took up charge for some time, Titus, he destroys Jerusalem. So Jerusalem was the stronghold place of the Jews, Jewish people. I'm not talking about Christians. I'm talking about the predecessor, that is Jews. So till then, though Herod and Roman people were ruling Jews, they did not directly interfere into their matter. But it was around AD 70 where completely things went berserk. That is because there was a tax that was established by one of the emperors or a governor called as Gallius. So Gallius, he imposed a tax on Jews. Jews, unfortunately, could not pay. 3 guna lagan vasool karenge. So they did something like that, saying that we will collect taxes, but they could not. So what ended up happening is this guy, Gallius, he ended up attacking the Jewish temple, Jerusalem Devalayam, the famous temple, which was very nicely built by Solomon. He ended up attacking and taking the jewels from there. So Jews were really angry, upset, and they decided to fight back. They ended up fighting multiple times. For the time being, they were also able to upset and pull a victory. Then things completely went out of control. Gallius actually, later he died, and his son Titus, they came forward and they actually formed allies with all the enemies of Jerusalem. So the picture that you see is the Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was a city very nicely built by David and Solomon. It had 3 layers of wall. So they decided to attack it from all the sides. Dushman ka dushman dost. So they all decided to come together. They broke the first wall, second wall, finally the inner wall, and finally they captured the temple. With that, Jerusalem was completely destroyed. Actually, Titus did not intend to destroy the temple, is what they say, but his warriors or his followers were really upset because of the kind of war that was happening, and they burnt it. And this completes the prophecy of Jesus Christ, which says, there will not be a stone that will be unturned. Even the magnificent Jerusalem temple will fall, has come true. So this has happened to Jews. So my question is, where were Christians at that point of time? The early Christians. Anybody who would like to quickly respond? If Jews were all attacked and persecuted in Jerusalem, what happened to the Christians? Where were the Christians at that point of time? Moderating team, do let me know if any chats come there. Huh? You can feel free to use the chat box as much as you want. Am I able to see the chats? Yeah. Anybody?
Can we guess, sir? Make a guess.
Yes, you have to. This section is all about guessing.
So AD 70 means fairly like what we have learned in texts and what has been told to us by our teachers. Around AD 67 is when Saint Paul becomes a martyr. So by that time, the identity of Christianity or Christians is not really Christians, though we get called as Christians in Antioch. Things are still discreet. So
you're almost correct over there. I'm glad that you brought the Saint Paul wala angle over there. You're correct. Christians no longer as in Christian as in. Thank you so much, dear, for responding. Due to paucity of time, I'm just picking in over there, but thank you for responding. Yes, Christians or the early converts or the early believers, they never stayed there in the Jerusalem per se. They migrated or moved to different parts. St. Paul himself says, I would like to go to so many different places and meet them over there. So Christian moved to different parts, and thus starts the beginning of Christianity that is spreading. So here's your first patron that you would like to know. So the first person that I'm going to talk to you is about someone called as Justin Martyr, not Justin Bieber, Justin Martyr. His name itself, he earned this title called as Justin Martyr around AD 50. So this guy is a famous guy who actually was learned in a very rich school. When I say rich school, he studied Aristotle, he studied Pythagoras, he studied a lot of Greek philosophers. And from there, what he did, he was really impressed by the Gospel of Saint Matthew, wherein it clearly says that God had died for you for your sins. So he converted himself. He was not born a Christian, he converted himself. And he was the first person. You might seem that I'm talking about a random person. No, he was the first guy who was responsible for a written literature for Christianity. Today, after 2000 years, we are talking about something that we are very proud about. The richest literature or history is the Christianity. But he was the first person. So he has written something called as the first apology. Apology does not mean sorry. Apology in Greek means logic. So these were the guys, the apologists or apologetic writings are writing a logic behind what is happening in the Orthodox Church or in the Orthodox faith. So they kind of refuted all other practices and gave the reasoning for it. So he very strongly, if you see on the right of your screen, took this idea that God was a divine being who was way beyond our human capabilities or potential. Okay, but he came to us through his word, and word was nothing but Jesus Christ. So that's mentioned in John chapter 1, the screenshot that you have. Okay, and through Jesus Christ he came to us. So he, in short, gave a small formula to understand something called as the Trinity. What exactly is Holy Trinity? Which is God, who is beyond the creation, was also willing to be a part of creation and save us. So that's something he has done. But the interesting thing is, towards the end, he was constantly fighting with Gnostics, Gnostic, Gnostics. They are a set of people, you will hear about them in some time. So they decided to kill him because he was very nice and very sharp and intellect. So there was a powerful saying that he mentioned: you can kill us, but you cannot do any real harm to us. You can kill us, but you cannot do any harm to us. That was the confidence, or that was the actual conviction that he had in the kind of work that he has done. So here's a patron that you can call a man who was born in a regular common family, not even in a Christian family, later studying, understanding, and standing up for the faith and saying, you can kill me, but you cannot do us any harm. So this is Justin, who was martyred, and therefore from then is known as the Justin Martyr of the church. Then moving forward, you have the next person, that is Polycarp, the Polycarpos that we have. We have even our bishops named as Polycarpos. So Polycarpos was actually trained under Saint John, the disciple of Christ. He was a young child at that point of time, and he was trained under Saint John. So he has had a lot of things that you will see about him. He was also born in a family of rich Roman authorities, but he decided to give up his wealth and stand up as a Christian because of his reading. They were all, mind you, they were all not illiterate, like how they say, oh, in olden days it was fishermen and all. No, he was actually a very well-learned person, and his learning helped him to come to Christ. And his death is something that is important for all of us. So finally, when he was about to die, they said, Caesar is the Roman emperor. So Caesar needs to be worshipped. Romans believe that there are a lot of gods, and one such rubum of God is Caesar. So anybody who does not believe or worship Caesar is an anti-national, anti-patriot, tukde gang. I don't know, maybe something like that is what they were calling him. And they said, if you forsake your God and start praising Caesar, then we will forgive you. He said, 85 years of my life, he has done no harm to me and he guided me. Why do you think at this point of time I will do that? So finally, he was taken to a furnace. You will see this picture, the fire on the bottom. He was put in the fire, and actually, instead of burning, he was actually glowing like a roasted bread, a very golden glowing kind of a this thing, and smell, aroma was coming from his body. At that point of time, they decided we need to kill him by stabbing him. So the person that you see on the left stabs him, and that's how he dies. And despite all of that, he very strongly confessed Christ. So February 23 was his death day, or maybe one of the reasons why our church commemorates not the birthday of any saint, but in fact the martyrdom day, is because the day when they died is considered as a heavenly birthday. So you will not see any birthday celebrated other than the birth of Jesus Christ or maybe Saint John the Baptist, but all other things are the martyral commemorations that we see. So here's another patron that you can see. Then moving forward, we have Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyons. His name, Irenaeus, simply means peaceful. He was really a peaceful man. So he was also suddenly becoming a bishop of the place called Lyons, because the bishop there of Lyons was persecuted because he was a Christian. He also valiantly fought against heresies, against this guy called as Macrion, M-A-C-R-I-O-N. Macrion was a very mischievous guy. He was a Gnostic. So Gnostics basically said that there is a secret world, and it's not God who created all of these things, but there are angels and there's a lot of mysteries, and only special people can interpret it, and those special people are Gnostics. So you see some sample over there. The reason why I'm talking about something like that is, some of the times you would have actually seen Orthodox Church, recently Armenian Church gave out a comment saying that yoga was a satanic practice. Yeah. So it could also be one of the interpretations like these. We always believe that, the Christians or the Orthodox Church believes that for salvation, it is only possible through the grace of God. However, we need to work towards it. However, the Gnostics, or something similar to the theory of karma, where they believed that it was the human potential or human abilities that was stopping them from moving there. Everything lies within the individual, the misinterpretations, which kind of was deviating in the church. So he's written a detailed book over there, almost 5 books against heresies, Saint Irenaeus, the bishops of Lyon. So he had the courage to stand up, be articulate, counter the so-called famous thing, everybody does this thing, everybody does it, so we will also do it. No, he went against the current and said that, okay, there's a different way of thinking. So that's Irenaeus. Then moving forward, I have the next father of the church for you, Tertullian. Tertullian, he has a big fancy name. Unfortunately, we could not call him as a saint. All people till now you would have seen as Saint Irenaeus and all of them. But Tertullian is a very famous personality. He was the one who actually wrote one of his famous sayings, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. You could actually go ahead and by heart it. It was found in his book, the blood of the martyr is the seed of the church. We actually use this in our prayers also. So Tertullian had written a lot of books. One of the important things that he did is, he started moving away from the Greek writing. Greek was very sophisticated and profound, which was very philosophical. But he moved into writing into Latin and made people think in normal, sensible language than just staying with the rhetoric there. So he came up with this first formula called as Father is not Son, Son is not Spirit, but they three are one and the same, that is God. So 1 + 1 + 1 is 1, makes perfect sense. So he articulated the primary logic of Trinity. In short, if I have to say, there is a fire, I take a matchstick, I burn that matchstick there in the fire and take the flame off. So this flame is now a different entity, yeah, but is the part of the same fire, and if I put the flame back into it, they become one. So that's the logic that he had used at that point of time to explain Trinity. So he used the word substantia and persona. Substantia means substance. For him, substance was simply not material. Substance was property rights, yeah, and persona did not mean personality. Persona means the party. So he used the concept of Trinity as there was a property right, and there were 3 parties, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and all 3 parties had the property rights, and they all belong to the same property. So in fact, let's say if I have a property at somewhere, okay, I am the owner of that property, my father is the owner of that property, and let's say my mother is the owner of that property. Okay, it does not say now there are 3 owners for that property. All 3 have property rights, all 3 will exercise it. We need not separately say that the 3 people have that, something on those lines. So that's Tertullian. But Tertullian, one of the reasons we could not have him as the father of church is because he was kind of a little upset, because by that time the leaders of the church started saying that yes, we have all power, supreme power, to even forgive the sins of people, and everybody has to come through us. So Tertullian, he gave up the Christianity and he moved to a sect called as Montanist, Montanist, Montanist. And he said that everybody is a priest and everybody was together called to forgive and love each other. So anyways, at this point of time, we are not here to judge Tertullian. But what's interesting for us to know is someone who is not, like, let's say, following that Christianity, was the primary person who could give all Christians an articulating principle of Trinity, that is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. That is Tertullian for you, the next patron. Then we have Origen, 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 I don't know how do you pronounce him. Unfortunately, we cannot call him a saint as well for some reason, but he was a very pious man. The moment you hear names like Douglas, Patricia, and all of these things in Kerala, you will definitely know that that maybe, oh, these people are converts, or these people are people who are from a lower educated culture and all of that. The similar thing at that point of time in the church, everybody thought that Christians were only downtrodden people or people who were not that well off. So what they decided is, or what happened is, Origen, he was so eloquent, so beautifully speaking, that everybody was impressed. The faithful, the believer, the heretic, and the people in power were all surprised to say that yes, Christians are not just like downtrodden or from lower part of the society, but they are capable of coming out to the world. So Origen was the first one who had this power to not just say that Christianity had practices, but to explain that to the different parts of the world. Here's an interesting picture. You might be scandalized seeing this picture of what is it that I have on screen. This is actually this guy, Origen, who is castrating himself. He was such a pious man. I am not justifying his act. He was a pious man. He did not own more than 1 set of clothes for himself. He always slept on the floor. He even went to the extent of following the commandment or the writing in Matthew chapter 19, which says, if something is keeping you sinful in flesh, go ahead and castrate yourself. So he literally castrated himself so that he could win over the temptation. So I'm not asking any of you to do any of that things, but just letting you know that such a person was capable of coming up with this interesting manuscript that you see in front of you, called as the Hexapala. He, at a point of time, had 7 secretaries writing for him, and he churned out more than 2,000 literature. And this is in the 2nd century, when there was not even a printing press or a computer. He could parallelly write 6 different materials over there. And he said that everything had multiple levels of interpretation: literal, moral, allegorical, and all of those. So this is what is there from there. So I'm always almost towards the end of the time. So I will not take you through all the fathers. I had Cyprian for you, Saint Anthony, who did not believe that, he actually did not want to start anything, a monastic order. He just wanted some peace and stay by himself. But unfortunately or fortunately, a man who did not want to do anything profound is the most remembered man today in the history. That is, he is the father of ascetics. And then you know about the Constantine, the conversion, and all of that. I am just fast forwarding some parts. Maybe at some other point of time we would touch upon this. There is this one thing that I would like to take forward after the church fathers there. Yes, how can we not touch upon any of the contemporary patrons that we have? So from 4th century, I am directly jumping now to the 17th century, AD 1653, where Conan Cross has happened. So there are a lot of patrons left there. In 30 minutes, unfortunately, we cannot touch. But the person on screen that you see is Marthoman I. This person was the person who was responsible for this amazing act called as the Coonan Cross Act. So just before 1453, that is in 1599, there was Synod of Diamphor, where everybody was force converted to the Catholicism, and he stood by himself when nobody else was willing to be an Orthodox person. He said, no, we will do it, and he brought everybody there. So this reminds me of this famous saying by Rabindranath Tagore, that is, when nobody walks with you, not a problem, you walk alone. Ekla chalo re, you can do that. He literally did that, so that's what we have. And finally, someone contemporary to end, Pambadi Tirumeni, you know a lot about him, but what's interesting for us to know is, around 1940s, when there was this smallpox or Vasuri in Kerala, Kundunkulam region, the entire church or people were scared, like literally first few months of Corona, nobody wanted to even get out at that point of time. He said at this point of time, even if I die, that's okay, I will get out and serve my people. He went there, and the people there say, he literally made a sign of cross. From that day, nobody died, but he stayed there for so many months, served them, and he came out. So here's another patron. So I'm not going to take any longer to talk about different patrons. The reason why I wanted to focus here is our church is a rich church with a lot of legacy. Today, when we lead a life, there's a beautiful saying which my mentor, Father Zakir, he keeps saying, a society without history, I'm repeating myself, a society without history is like a man without memory. We need to remind or remember ourselves, all those patrons, all those fathers who have been with us, and from their lives. We need not even ask them, please come and protect me and save me. No, all we need to do is just believe or see what they have done and try to replicate. So I'm going to end my session with this one last thing, which will hardly take me a minute. I will request all of you to please come to your chat box and respond to me, please. In your chat box, quickly, can you write down the meaning of the word Tirth? We use the word Tirtha Yatra, Tirthathinu njan pogunnu. We use the word Tirth. So what do you mean by the word Tirth? I'll be really happy if you can just put the meaning of that word Tirth. If you're getting any response, please do let me know. If anyone wants to unmute and speak, you can do that as well. Meaning of the word Tirth. Okay, there's one chat that says pilgrimage. Any other responses? Tirth. Holy, holy, sacred, sacred. Okay, it's interesting. So when they say mujhe tirth par jana hai, tirth yatra par jana hai, tirth comes from this concept or this word, which is tiram, tat, which means the other shore or bank. So ee tirathil ninna maru tirathilekku, I am going from this bank to the next bank. So in olden days, all the monks or holy fathers or holy people used to stay in isolated places, islands. So going for a tirth means crossing this tiram and going to the other tiram where a holy man lived. So people actually worked really hard. They went padayatra to the next place to meet that holy man, similar to like how we go on for padayatras and all today. But they went there and imitated that person, mimicked that person, what their life was. They didn't say, you give me blessing and I'll be like an amazing person. No, they went all the way there, mimicked what they were doing. So today for us also in our lives, we can be a scholar, we can be a poor person, we can be a person with temptation. All the patrons that I showed you are people like you and me. Some of them educated, some of them not very educated, some of them very strong, some of them not very strong, some of them rich, some of them poor, some of them handsome, not so handsome. All of them tempted, but they all lived a life in a time where their leaders and people around them were troubling. So you can expect a Patronum. So on that note, I end my session. Expecto Patronum, that is, expect your patron. Have a very nice time ahead. May God bless all of us. Thank you so much.
We live in a time where we are busy with naming things and not naming them again. and then again coming up with additions and subtractions. I'm referring to our leaders, in the light of which I take this opportunity to thank Sabu sir for helping us know our time or centuries wherein we struggled and came up with names and additions to our church, and wherein the church had the liberty to proclaim one saint and the other not. Nevertheless, their contributions will always be remembered, and this particular session embossed their contributions in our consciousness. And thank you for that. With that, I also take this opportunity to essentially point our attention to the whole idea of etymology and the importance of naming certain things, wherein we not just learned the various other meanings of the word teeth, but also understood that the onus is heavy on us, and that transformation is never late, better late than never, and therefore imploring us to transform for the greater good of the society, and in doing so, transform our inner beings for glorifying His name. Thank you, sir.
Moving ahead, before going to the next activity, I have a small announcement to make. Before the concluding ceremony, we will have a Q&A session with our resource person. So if you have any doubts regarding the last session of the theme address, so you can put up a WhatsApp text on the number which is being circulated. So next up, we have a very informative activity. It's almost like a Pictionary, but more interesting. So for that, I call Feba and Steffi to conduct the activity.
Hi everyone, we are back once again to give you some more fun activities like we did in the morning. But this time there's a little difference. We are not going to have we're not making you move or run to your kitchen or all that. But this time we're going to do a little bit of picking your brains. So it's more of an activity where you'll have to use your brains. Okay, so let's see how many of you have a good knowledge of the Bible, or how many of you have paid attention during your Sunday school time and all that. These are very basic questions, but let's see how many of you can crack these questions. I hope you're all excited for that. Can I get a thumbs up if you're excited for that? Or to show me that you're all here or not. Okay, I got a heart. Awesome, that's awesome. Okay, I see thumbs ups, I see thumbs ups, more thumbs ups. Okay, amazing. So I'll just share my screen now. And then the key to this is please use your chat box to answer. Whoever answers first in the chat box gets the points for this. Okay, I see the DOC saying that they're excited. I think this is a Gregorian voice team. Okay, so I'll just share my screen quickly. Okay, so it's like basically a Pictionary and a quiz. So the very first picture, I'm going to show you the very first picture. Just a second. Something is wrong with my, okay. All right. So yeah. Can you see this? Which biblical event comes to your mind when you look at these three pictures? Put it in the view. Noah, yes. I see some people have said Noah. Noah's Ark. Who was the first one? Divya John from Ghaziabad. Very good. Awesome. It's Noah's Ark. Somebody said Noah, but actually it's the Noah's Ark. Very good. Amazing. The next question is, let's see who can answer this. It was I who prophesied the 70 years of Israel's exile in Babylon. Who am I? Okay, let's see what the answer is. We've got a few answers, I think. Okay. Any answers? Is there anything in the chat box? 1 second. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I see a few people have answered. Who was the very first? So the answer is, our DOC is the one who has said Prophet Jeremiah. Something is wrong. It's not. Prophet Jeremiah is the answer. Very good. So 1 for DOC. Okay, now who can tell me what this picture is all about? Anyone in the chat box? Yes, yes. Okay, Janice from Noida, you're absolutely correct. It's Lot's wife. When Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, she turned back and she was turned into a pillar of salt. Amazing, awesome. So moving on to the next question, we have, I was a favorite among Persian emperors and kings. Who am I? Okay, some answer. Okay, absolutely correct. Kezia from UAE, Alain. It's Daniel. Correct. Prophet. It's Prophet Daniel. So the answer is correct. Okay. Now, who can tell me what this picture is all about? Okay, there are some answers in the chat box. Jabalpur says Cheryl is absolutely correct. It's wedding in Kana. Wedding at Kana, wedding in. So that goes to Cheryl. Good, amazing. You're all amazing at this. Okay, then the next question is,
Just give us a moment.
We are having some little difficulties.
The meaning of my name suggests heal. I was also addressed as Israel. Who am I? We can see some answers. Jacob. That's the correct answer. From Janice. It's from Janice, MGOCSM Noida.
Good, amazing. The next one that we have is, okay, what does this picture remind you of? Yes, I think it's Janice from Noida, feeding 5,000. Feeding 5,000, absolutely correct. I hope you're all having fun in this activity. It's like interesting. Okay, so the next one that we have is, okay, everyone paid attention in Sunday school, huh? The next question is,
I was tried for treason and blasphemy and was punished as per Roman law. I triumphed all. Who am I?
okay, let's see what the answer is. It's Jesus Christ. So Irene from Dilshad Garden is correct. It's Jesus Christ. Absolutely right. Great job. The next question that we have is, the next pictures that we have, a set of pictures. Can you guess which incident is it from? Okay, Janice is saying that she answered first. And she answered again first. 10 virgins, absolutely correct. It's the parable of the 10 virgins. Absolutely correct, Janice. Good job. The next question that we have is,
I am the eldest of all the apostles. Who am I? Andrew.
Correct. Who was that? Again, Janice. Janice is on fire today, huh? From Noida. You're absolutely correct. It's Andrew. It's absolutely fun to see that you are so well versed with the Bible. Okay, again, we have a set of few pictures. What does this remind you of, this picture, these pictures? Somebody said, okay. Lot of answers. Who was the first one who said it? Hoshana, somebody said Hoshana. Chandigarh se Bella, I think. Bella Susan, something. Absolutely right. You are right. It's Hoshana. Hoshana, it's a reminder of Hoshana. All right. Okay. The next question is this. For if one is in Christ, one is a new creation. I wrote these lines. Who am I? Okay, let's see what the answer is. Let's wait for a few more answers, huh? Okay. It's St. Paul. Kezia, you're absolutely correct. Elaine, say you're from Elaine, na? Right? So your answer is right. You have given the right answer. It's St. Paul. Yay! The next set of pictures. What does this remind you of? If you can give proper answers, that will be good. But Kezia has answered. It's the story of. Sorry.
Janice has answered first.
Was it Janice or Kezia who answered?
It was
first?
Janice first.
Side competition.
I think we're going to fight, me and Steffi. Who answered first? Who answered? It's Janice. Janice answered first. It's the story of Jonah. Right. Jonah and the big whale. Okay. Yes, this question. My modern day name is Istanbul. I was popularly known as Dash during the Roman reign.
Iran.
Okay, let's wait for a few more answers. We're waiting for the correct answer. CP. Oh, do you mean something else by CP? Who is that?
Christian.
Brian George, you're correct. It's Constantinople. Wow, Brian. Okay. It's Constantinople. Good job, Brian. Okay, it's Constantinople. Then we have this picture. It's a very interesting picture. What is it about? Yes, it's Solomon and the two mothers. So Jewisha said the first answer. It's Solomon, and it's the wisdom of Solomon. The story where Solomon shows his wisdom by finding out who is the real mother of the baby. All right. So Jewisha was the one who answered, I think. Right? It's Jewisha. Solomon. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Dilshad got into somebody.
It's Solomon and two mothers.
Solomon and two, or is it the wisdom of Solomon? So they're all right, actually. They know the story. So I'm happy to see that all of you are aware of the stories. Okay, the next one. Yeah, next one is, I am addressed as the chief amongst mourners in the fifth Tubden. Who am I? I accidentally showed you the answer, but let's
see who noticed
Agra se Nisha, Anna, and Joseph. You're correct. It's Mar Bar Soma. You're correct. I hope you've not seen the answer, which I by mistake went for. Brian, that's not the answer. Sorry to say. Okay. This picture, what does this remind you of? Elaine Sekezia, I think, was the first one to say that. Judas Iscariot. Basically, the betrayal of Judas betrayal done by Judas Iscariot of Jesus Christ. Good. Next question.
Naaman took a grand bath in my waters, as was asked of him. I am.
So it's Brian George. You're on fire. Jordan. Amazing. It's the River Jordan. I hope you have not seen the answers already. Okay. It's River Jordan. This is the next one. Can you see who does the story? Pictures, Abraham and Isaac. I think somebody said it. Oh my God, so many answers. How do we look? Abraham and Isaac. You all said it, but Janice said it, the correct one. The story of Abraham and Isaac, when Abraham was taking his son for the sacrifice as God had commanded, and there he saw the ram to be replaced as a sacrifice. Absolutely correct. The next one. I expounded that God the Son is not equivalent to God the Father. Who am I? Who is the person who gave this theory? Basil Sargent from Hauskas gives the correct answer. It's Arius. It's Arius who gave this theory. As you all know, the heresies of Arius. Right? Okay, moving forward. This is a very simple one. But who goes first? Let's see. David and Goliath from Cheryl from Jabalpur. Cheryl from Jabalpur said the right one. It's the story of David and Goliath, the very popular story. Okay, then we have this one. I am lovingly addressed as Shemashin, and I am the first martyr of the Holy Church. Who am I? Janice, you're correct. It's Saint Stephen. Absolutely correct. Janice, you are like amazing. Okay, it's Saint Stephen. Then we have this final picture. I think this is the last picture. What is this the story of? What story is this? Yes, Tiju, you're absolutely correct. It's the story of Christmas. Somebody said it on a more better way. That's nativity. It's the nativity scene or Eldo or Christmas. All of you are correct. You've been absolutely wonderful today. Okay, with that, we are done with our set of questions. We have asked you a lot of questions. I hope you had lots of fun. It was a good exercise for you to remember all the, knowledge of that we have learned right from the Sunday school itself. How many of you have had fun in this exercise? Did you enjoyed this or not? Can I get a thumbs up if you like this? Okay, I got hearts also. I'm happy. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being such a wonderful sport.
Thank you so much, Feba and Steffi. That was really informative and really interesting. I hope you all had had good amount of fun playing all that games. Moving ahead, we have the second team address. For that, I call upon our resource person for the session, Reverend Father Anish John.
A very good morning to all of you. I hope it is still morning there. It is 6 a.m. here in Dublin. So I think I'm audible. Am I?
Yeah, Chai, you are audible.
Yeah. So let's begin with the day. I hope you had a good stay, people who are staying back at Qurbana, and definitely for people who are at home. So I hope you had a lot of fun, and I did get a view of your activity which was going on, and so I could sense it that you were also happy and interacting and joining for that game, for that activity as well. Let us begin with the second theme presentation, the second session of the theme presentation. I left yesterday at a topic called the incomprehensibility of God. And because we are talking about knowing the plans of God, we have to understand what is the limitation and where do we stand when we say that we can know about God, okay? And what is the limitation and what is the extent of knowing God? So we'll begin this day with the third message or the theme that you would gather from Jeremiah. That is the incomprehensibility of God and His plans for us. Okay. Now don't crucify me for using His as an attribute for God. I'm being gender sensitive. I know that I cannot say that God is male as a student of theology, but for my comfort and for the listeners, I am using this prefix that God, His plans. Okay, so God, we are talking about God's incomprehensibility and His plans for us. Well, we are all very familiar with this word mystery in Orthodox theology. When you go to church, you quite often, from your very young age, hear in Orthodox Church that everything is mysterious. It's a mystery. അത് രഹസ്യമാണ്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ interchangeably, we've heard this term incomprehensible. Okay, God is incomprehensible. So these two terms come into play: mystery and incomprehensibility of God. So when we are talking about knowing the plans of God, we have to keep these two terms or these two themes in our mind, that God is incomprehensible and God is mystery. Well, when we talk about mystery, as I said, these two terms, mystery and incomprehensibility, will be interchangeably used quite often. The concept of mystery is actually central to the Christian reflection, and it is also intermittently used as an attribute to God. Okay, so when you talk about God, if you don't refer to God as God, you can use the word mystery, okay, or incomprehensibility to mean God Himself. The early Christian writers use the term mystery as a very positive term to explain the incomprehensibility of God and the human limitation. Okay, when we say God is incomprehensible, we are trying to say that human beings are limited, our knowledge are limited, and we have a sort of limitation. Okay, again, God is incomprehensible actually in His essence. Okay, we cannot know God in His essence, but we can know God through His grace, through His actions, through His powers that He extends, and what the powers that are very visible amongst us, okay, in nature probably, and in our lives, okay, but we don't know Him in essence. That's what incomprehensibility means. Gregory of Nyssa, a 4th century church father, who is also called one among the Cappadocian fathers, puts it very clearly in his writing, which is titled as Life of Moses. മോശയുടെ ജീവിതം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ Life of Moses എന്ന് പറയുന്ന the text very clearly explains this aspect of incomprehensibility of God. Okay, he uses this term dazzling darkness in his writing. Okay, a dazzling darkness. ഒത്തിരി തിളങ്ങുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ തിളങ്ങി നിൽക്കുന്ന ഒരു darkness. It's dazzling, but it is dark. And it is very evident to all of us through the Bible that when Moses sees God or any other person who has some kind of interaction or who comes into some contact with God, although we try to put it very anthropomorphic style, we put it into an anthropomorphic concept in the Bible, but lest when these people meet God or when they see Yahweh, they see a bright light, they see a dazzling darkness which surrounds this light. Okay, so that is the apt term which Gregory of Nyssa uses in his writings to explain incomprehensibility of God. Okay, it's dazzling darkness. Now, Gregory of Nyssa also quotes from Psalm 18 verses 11. He says, he made darkness his covering around him. Okay, he makes darkness his covering around him. All right, God makes darkness as a covering around him. Psalm 18 verses 11 to explain from David's initiation into the mysteries. Now, we are very familiar with Paulus Mar Gregorius Thirumeni and his writings. Especially, I don't need to introduce it to the MGOCSM in Delhi. That who is Paulus Mar Gregorius Thirumeni? About Thirumeni conceives of God. He writes, explains this thing. He says, God is one who remains incomprehensible in his ultimate nature. Okay, that's what we said. In his essence, God is incomprehensible and a mode of being. Thirumeni again explains further. He says that we know of God as 3 persons in one manifested through the incarnate Son. Okay, so we know about God, we know a bit of God through His Son. We have known through His Son and through the power of the Holy Spirit. So we know of God, we know of Yahweh through His Son in the New Testament and through the Holy Spirit which acts amongst us. So these are the 2 aspects. Now, I should also introduce to you, because I work on this theologian, there's a German theologian, a Catholic German theologian called Karl Rahner, whom if you ever happen to read, you can Google it and find it, because we all these days depend on Google University. So, but not that everything that you find in Google is correct. So better you get into a credible source, okay, when you read about Rahner. So this this priest, Karl Rahner, who is a German theologian, clarifies while talking about dogmatic theology. He writes about blessed darkness of the one mystery of God. Okay, this is a blessed darkness of the one mystery of God. So it's kind of a blessed darkness that you see within that light. All right. And Rahner also believes that we have been called into the immediacy of the mystery of God. We've been called into that mystery of God. We've been all invited into that mystery of God. So there's this writing where he points out very, very clearly. He writes, we have been called into the immediacy of mystery of God himself, and that this mystery gives itself us into the unspeakable nearness of God. Okay, it tells us simply that this nearness has been revealed and consummated as something irrevocable in the Son of Man, who is the presence of the eternal Word of God. So through God, through Jesus Christ, we know God and we know his powers, which has been extended to us through his salvific act. Rahner, interestingly, was once asked to explain mystery, because this person, this theologian, Karl Rahner, quite often quotes this term mystery in his writings. So one of his interviews, he was asked as to what do you mean exactly by the term mystery? And he puts it very briefly. He says, for me, the mystery consists in being able to grasp rationally that the incomprehensible really exists. Okay? He says, for me, mystery consists in being able to grasp rationally that incomprehensibly really exists. This is the highest act of human understanding. Okay? And he says, this incomprehensibility, God is beyond my comprehension, is the highest act of human understanding, and this theologian puts it. So that succinctly explains what theology is all about, or knowing God is all about, and knowing the plan of God is all about. So when we say in the theme, know the plans of God, it is kind of concentration on the aspects of us having a hope for the future, okay? Rather than predicting something, rather than having a predestined future, we are actually hopeful for a better future, for a goodness that we have, that will be given to us through God graciously, okay? It is a kind of a self-communication of God to his beloved. നമുക്ക് സെൽഫ് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ ചെയ്ത് ദൈവം ഗ്രേഷ്യസ്ലി തരുന്ന ഒരു ഗിഫ്റ്റ് ആണ് knowing God. It is not something through nature that we receive. Okay, we cannot ask for it, but it has been graciously extended to us. So we are just receiving a gift from God, that we try to know God or know his plans. So ദൈവത്തെ പറ്റി ദൈവം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ദൈവം ദൈവത്തിന് നമ്മളെ പറ്റി ഒരു പദ്ധതി ഉണ്ടെന്നുള്ള ഒരു വലിയ പ്രത്യാശയാണ്. That's what knowing the plan of God എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. You might be reminded of, especially students of English literature might remember this great play by Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot, right? രണ്ട് വ്യക്തികളുണ്ട് അതിനകത്ത്. There are two characters who keep, if I'm not wrong, if I remember correct, it was Vladimir and Estragon who keep on waiting for God. Alle, God ennu parnal, it's a French word which doesn't at all mean God, okay? It doesn't mean God, but allegorically we can take it in that sense. So these people keep on waiting. അവര് എന്തിലേക്ക് പ്രത്യാശ വെക്കണം, what should they hope for, what should they wait for എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് the whole play actually ends like that. Okay, there's no solid ending to it, but there is a hope which is extended through these characters, through the whole plot of the play. Okay, there is a kind of a hope which is extended to each one of us. When we see that tree which has new sprouts, okay, leaves coming up, other hope on and the play stops there, ends there, when they see the leaves sprouting up on the tree. So this is hope. This is the waiting with the hope. Okay, and definitely this is God's intentions from us. The book of Jeremiah also, narrates this. What do you say? The incomprehensibility of God very, very, very nicely. Now, if you see into chapter 9, verses 23 in Jeremiah, I can read it for you. Jeremiah 9:23 says, "Thus says the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom." Okay, let not the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him who glories glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who practices steadfast love, justice, righteousness in the earth. And for in these things I delight, says the Lord. So you don't know God as such, in his essence, but you know God through the things which is manifested to us in different forms. Okay, like God manifests himself through love, through justice and righteousness. So when you attribute this incomprehensibility to God, you have this aspect of saying yes and no. Yes, we can know God, but there is definitely an aspect of God which is still hidden from us. Okay, and it is not the incapacity of God. It is not a limitation of God, but rather it is a limitation of human beings when we say incomprehensibility of God. ദൈവത്തിന്റെ കുറവൊന്നുമല്ല, അത് നമ്മുടെ ഇൻകോംപ്രഹെൻസിബിലിറ്റിയെ പറ്റിയാണ് നമ്മൾ അവിടെ വിശേഷിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. So we have to remember that thing in mind, that there is this God whom we are talking about, who is incomprehensible in his essence. പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കുവാൻ സാധിക്കത്തില്ല എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ചെറിയ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ is there. A learned ignorance, they say in Western theology. When you learn more of God, you have this understanding that I know less. Okay, എനിക്ക് അറിയത്തില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ I cannot know God much or in full extent എന്നുള്ള realization, a learned kind of a ignorance that we have to develop in ourselves, which is very evident in the Orthodox theology also. When we talk about God, we have this apophatic theology. Okay, we talk about God by saying what God is not. ദൈവം എന്തൊക്കെ അല്ല എന്ന് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റും, പക്ഷെ we cannot explain what is God. Okay, ദൈവം എന്താണെന്ന് പറയാൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കത്തില്ല, but we would be explaining what God is not. Okay, so when we explain about God, we say God is not this, God is not that, God cannot be MGOCSM Delhi. Okay, God cannot be Anish John Achan, God cannot be Charian Joseph Achan. ennu paranje we try to explain that what God is not, but we cannot say what is God. Okay, so let us leave that theme, the third point there, and move to the next one. We have this fourth point which you have to remember. If somebody is taking down scribbling on your notebooks, it'll be a nice idea, because the Chinese say that I shouldn't be talking about Chinese in COVID season, right? But the Chinese say that the frailest of ink is better than memory. Okay, the frailest of his ink is better than memory. അതുകൊണ്ട് എവിടെയെങ്കിലും ഒക്കെ ഒന്ന് കുറിച്ച് വെക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നല്ലതായിരിക്കും. I still have all those old MGOCSM books, diaries, pads, notepads ഒക്കെ കിട്ടുമല്ലോ. When we used to write down things, and when I went to seminary, and when I used to when I started speaking to audience, as Achans have to do it, these all came as a resource. So try to put down things, scribble down things on your pads when you hear something which might be useful for you. Then now we move to the fourth point, which is a wait for restoration. Okay, we spoke about restoration, hope for restoration, but now today we will also talk about the wait for restoration. Okay, there is a kind of a wait, a halt, a pause for everything to happen in life, which is very evident for us. I was just reminded of an old joke when somebody calls a, it's about a particular denomination, but I'll leave it that I wouldn't take a name of a particular denomination, but it was a Christian church, and somebody comes in and says, that could I have a date for the baptism of our child? And then they keep on asking about several other things like kalyanatinte date mudi ellam mudi namakku oru ippade onnu sort cheyan pattuengil, so and the person, the minister who was there in the church says, you can probably also pre-plan the funeral dates as well. Namukku nerathe thanne adum plan cheyidu venangi vekkanu parnu. And with that, I also remember one priest calling up a bishop a day, and the bishop joking that, sorry, in a date free ആണോ തിരുമേനി എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ വെറുതെ തമാശയായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു, ഇല്ല, അന്ന് ഓൾറെഡി ഒരു അടക്കം 2 മാസം കഴിഞ്ഞ് ബുക്കിംഗ് ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. And I still remember, അതൊരു തമാശയായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞെങ്കിലും the person on the other end thought it was a real thing, and he kept the phone, and then he remembered, oh my god, 2 months കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ബുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യം, because it is yet to happen and we don't know when it happens, but still people try to plan things ahead. നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ എല്ലാം പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്ത് വെക്കണമെന്ന് നമുക്ക് ആഗ്രഹമുണ്ട്. അത് ഒരു തമാശ ആണെങ്കിൽ പോലും we all have such kind of things. And just imagine, I was about to travel to India. I had this plan to travel to India, but we couldn't. ആർക്കും ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് പോലും ഇല്ലാതെ ആയിപ്പോയി. We couldn't travel at this moment. So pandemic teaches us that we have to wait for that restoration. Okay, there is a kind of a waiting time for restoration, which is quite evident to us during these times. Most people don't like waiting. Okay, we hate waiting. It can be very frustrating experience for some people. The most worst kind of waiting of all is waiting for God to act. ദൈവം പ്രവർത്തിക്കും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ there will be a miracle happening soon എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് ഭയങ്കര കഷ്ടം. Okay, you might have read the story of in Panchatantra of 5 people who were lost in a forest. Okay, there are 5 people who are lost in a forest, and they try to track their ways. They try to find their ways to their homes or their villages, back to their villages. And of these 5 people, 4 of them decide to move to 4 directions. Okay, we'll go to the 4 directions, east, west, north, south. Namukku angane 4 പേർക്ക് പോകാം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. And there was this one man who was left. Okay, അദ്ദേഹം ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് he gave it a pause. Okay, he gave it a pause, gave it some time, and he thought, what should I do? And he just looked around and he saw a tree, a very big tree, and he got an idea instantly, and he climbed up on the tree, and when he reached the top of the tree, he could have a better vision of the place, okay, of the whole forest, and he could understand which is the correct way ahead. Okay, which is the way ahead, how should I move ahead in the correct way. We can definitely the other 4 might have reached back to their homes, but this person who climbed up the tree, who went on the top of the tree, could have an aerial vision of view of the whole place. Okay, he could get the aerial view of the whole place, and he could move back. He could take his go his way back to his village or to his home. So this is a kind of a waiting, a thoughtfulness that we need in our lives. Okay, a wait for restoration. If you read Jeremiah, you can clearly see that Jeremiah gives out the word of God. He says, thus says the Lord, that you have to be living at the place where you are in exile for 70 long years. Okay, 70 വർഷത്തോളം you have to settle down there. You have to get married, you have to live, you have to have children. എല്ലാം ചെയ്ത് you have to live there for a 70 long period. And we know how they were restored. Persian Cyrus came to their rescue and they were sent back to their lands. Jerusalem, the Jews went back. So till that period, there was a waiting in the book of Jeremiah. So there is a wait for restoration, which we have to accept in our lives. We all want things to happen quickly. But we have to understand that we have to give it a wait. If we look into the lives of people of God who were chosen in the Bible, they all wait for God. They wait on God to have God's plans being fulfilled. Okay, Noah, he trusted God. He built an ark. He waits for the flood to come as God had promised. Look at Abraham. He was promised in Genesis chapter 12 that he'll be brought to this land of Canaan. And he waited for a long time till that happened. Look at others like Joseph, who waited, who had nothing to live, and his brothers, prison, everything. And then he moves on. He becomes the top official in Egypt. He becomes the king ultimately. So these all things tell us, all of these characters, all of these people chosen by God, tell us through their lives that we have a waiting period for the restoration. God has his plans drafted for us. We only need to trust his plans. Okay, we need to trust his good plans. That's what ultimately is asked from us. The book of Jeremiah actually guides us through the need to, embrace every new situation, as I told you, okay, and every new change, and also pray for the place where you are situated in. Okay, God says that you have to even pray for the place that you are living in. It is not that you are living in exile and you keep on crying, although we see that in the wailing in the Psalm 137, where you have this famous song also based on it, Bodiam, by the rivers of Babylon. അപ്പം ആ പറയുന്ന സങ്കീർത്തനത്തിന് വെയിലിംഗ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പോലും, കരച്ചിലുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പോലും, Yahweh tells these people to settle down, to pray for the place where you are living in. You have to pray for the prosperity also, he says, and soon you will have this restoration. You will go back to your land. So this kind of message to Judah, where God tells to pray for the Babylon, to wait for a 70 long period, all reminds us for this wait to restoration. Okay, this is a part of life that we have to understand. So this was the part of plan of God, in a way that God wanted people of Judah to live their new normal, as we nowadays hear. New normal അവർ ജീവിക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ആഗ്രഹം, it was already there in God's plan. God wanted people to live there in exile for some amount of time before they were restored into their old ways. He did not say that, call out my name loudly, offer me sacrifices, and I'll redeem you out of Babylon soon. But instead he said, you have to be there, endure the circumstances, and wait for 70 long years before I restore you to the old ways. Now, we should all believe that while we are working with our own projects, while we are working with our own plans, our own goals, that God is working through us. We have to be reminded within our minds that we have to wait on God till for some amount of time, for some moments, some long years before he responds. And we have to understand that God is working through us. God has these little miracles, these very small miracles happening in our lives. Okay, we don't realize those things. നമുക്ക് ചെറിയ ചെറിയ അത്ഭുതങ്ങളൊന്നും നമ്മുടെ കണ്ണിൽ പെടത്തില്ല. We only realize big miracles. We don't realize that we have smaller, lesser miracles happening in our lives. You have to celebrate lesser things in life. We have to understand, and we have to understand, we have to start celebrating the lesser things in life. When we start celebrating lesser things in life, we wouldn't remember, we wouldn't be wary of this waiting period. We might be very tired, we might be sick of this waiting. You might say, oh my God, it's been too long that we've been waiting for a blessing. It's been too long that we have been waiting for some miracle to happen in our lives. But God works through our plans. He works through us. He works with us through our projects, our plans, our goals ahead. Hope is a kind of an element which keeps us going. Hope keeps us going. ഇങ്ങനെ മുന്നോട്ട് നമ്മളെ നയിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാധനമാണ് ഈ പ്രത്യാശ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, hope എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Our Christian message doesn't end in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Remember that. It doesn't end with the crucifixion. It moves ahead. മുന്നോട്ട് പോവുകയാണ്, and it takes us to the Easter, to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. പ്രത്യാശയിലേക്കാണ് പോകുന്നത്. When the stone is moved, okay? We don't end at the cross. We don't, our theology, our faith doesn't end there. We move ahead. We move towards the resurrection of Jesus Christ himself. So that is hope which extends, which keeps us going. It is that element which will help us to keep going. But we have to give it some time. We have to wait for that restoration. You might have heard this Hindu monk who tells this story, which is very very much related to the theme that we are talking about, waiting. Okay, he tells us this example, allegory, where he says that look at the bulbs that are being used in this room. Okay, look at the bulbs that you have at your homes. Alla manoharamaya bulbs aayirikkum, Philips or some other brands that we use in India. വളരെ മനോഹരമായ ബൾബ്സ് എല്ലാം നമ്മൾ മേടിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. These bulbs would give us a lot of light, okay? And we have some spare bulbs kept in our store rooms. അല്ലെ, നമ്മുടെ ഗാരേജിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ സ്റ്റോർ റൂംസിലോ ബോക്സസിലോ there are spare bulbs which are kept. All right? These bulbs that are already placed and working might be very happy. I'm giving light, I'm lit up all day, ha ha ha. And the bulbs that are kept in the box, which are still in the waiting room, might think, when will my chance come? When will I also be working? When will I also be lit up? എന്ന് ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന ബൾബ്സും അവിടെ മാറ്റി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. So this brother says that those bulbs have to understand and remember that one day we will also be replaced. Okay, and these bulbs that are lit up now have to understand that one day we will also be removed from this place. We will stop working. Okay? So there's a kind of a replacement. There's a kind of a movement which happens in life. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു മൂവ്മെന്റ് നമ്മുടെ ഓരോരുത്തരുടെയും ജീവിതത്തിൽ അനിവാര്യമാണ്. You cannot pass over it. Okay? You cannot run away from it. These bulbs won't be lighted the whole life. They have a certain period and then they go off, fuse out. Then you have to remove that, whether it is LED, whether it is whatever best light you have. There will be some day when they have to move out, and those people, those bulbs waiting might think, "Ayyo, idu orikkalum theerathille. When are we going to be used? We are still in the storeroom." And they have to be hopeful that one day we are going to come there. Okay, we are going to be replaced. We are going to lit up the whole room as this bulb does. So this kind of an expectation, this kind of hope is the important factor that is required from us in our lives. This kind of hope is what Jeremiah gives people of Judah. Okay, the Israel, so-called Jews or the Israelites, and that you will come back to God. You will be restored to your goodness, but you have to wait for some time. Now, when we say Jeremiah talking about the plans, and when we hear through the prophet Jeremiah about God telling us, surely I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for your welfare and not for your harm, to give you a future with hope. That is the crux of it. God has a plan for us. He is surely there to give us a good future. He is there for the welfare of us. He's not for harm. Okay, God has not brought anything for a harm. He is yet to give us a future with a hope. We all have all those moments in life when we think, "Ayyo, ini engane agum, engane sadhikkum." While I am talking to you now, we had a background check before this. This is just a sharing which I wanted to give to you. We had a background sharing and we had a check as to Achan irikkunna sthalangal allengil background engane namukku set cheyanam. Our team, DOCIB team, we were all discussing about it. But just imagine നമ്മുടെ പ്രിപ്പറേഷൻസിന് അപ്പുറമായിട്ട് വർക്കിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, പല കാര്യങ്ങളും വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ടെന്ന് നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കണം. വി ഹാവ് ടു റിമെമ്പർ ആൻഡ് അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഇൻ ലൈഫ്. ഇങ്ങനെ സെറ്റിങ്സ് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കണം, ഒത്തിരി പ്ലാനിങ്സ് നമ്മുടെ ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ടിൽ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ പോലും തിങ്സ് ഹാവ് ടു വർക്ക് ഇൻ എ പെർഫെക്റ്റ് ടാൻഡം, അല്ലെ? വളരെ ഭംഗിയായിട്ട് ഒരേ മൂവ്മെന്റിൽ നല്ലതായിട്ട് പോകണം. when you ride on a bicycle, when you ride on it, ആദ്യമായിട്ട് സൈക്കിളിൽ, ഐ റിമെമ്പർ when I got my new bicycle in Delhi, അപ്പൊ അതിലേക്ക് ഒന്ന് കയറി ആദ്യം ഒന്ന് ചവിട്ടുമ്പോഴത്തേന് it is very difficult, അല്ലെ? You have to keep on trying on it. You have to keep the balance. You have to learn how to keep the balance in life. അങ്ങനെ മൂവ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ചവിട്ടിക്കൊണ്ട് ഒത്തിരി ഇരുന്ന് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വീണ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പഠിക്കുന്നത്, അല്ലെ? We have to learn to move ahead. When the wheel moves ahead, then only it keeps the balance. Okay, when it is in standstill, it falls down. So you have to keep the balance. You have to keep it moving also. മുമ്പോട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ നീക്കണം. അതിനെ മൂവ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നാലേ അതിന്റെ ബാലൻസ് കീപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ നമുക്ക് പറ്റുള്ളൂ. സ്റ്റാൻഡ് സ്റ്റിൽ ആയിട്ട് ചിലപ്പം we might be able to show some kind of circus for some moments, sometime. നമ്മൾ വലിയ സ്റ്റണ്ടൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ കാണിക്കും സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ട്, ബൈക്കും സൈക്കിളും ഒക്കെ. But we have to keep that momentum, okay, going. We have to move ahead with definitely understanding that we have to pause in between. We have to pause in life. We have to pause when we are going too fast in life, okay, to be restored. That is definitely shown to us, that is being depicted to us through Jeremiah, that we have to wait for a restoration. As we discussed yesterday, we have to trust in God firstly, and we have to hope for a restoration. We need to look forward to a restoration in God. Thirdly, we have to understand that however we try to understand, there is a peace, there's a time of there's a small slight space for incomprehensibility of God that we have to accept and understand. Okay, we have to leave that space for incomprehensibility of God, and while doing that, we also have hope that God will guide us. And fourthly, we have to wait for a restoration. We have to give it some time. We have to wait for some time and understand and pause that God will restore us. Delhi, I think we still have a lot of speed breakers. When we move too fast, too quick, we have these speed breakers. We have to pause it there. The Delhi police people might be standing there. They will stand with their old lathis if they still have it. They'll be stopping you. They'll be asking you to stop somewhere. Pause the end of the avashamana before we restore ourselves. So there's a kind of a waiting before restoration. With hope, let us look forward. I hope and I pray also that this conference will be useful to you, fruitful time for you, as the MGOCSM conferences have been in the past. Okay, for many people, I'm quite sure all of those participants are here. Many priests who grew up through MGOCSM in Delhi and still being inspired. It's not that if you become a priest, that's a stamp for your spiritual growth, but definitely we've been all inspired through MGOCSM, and may God enlighten our people back there in Delhi, young people. God bless you. May I pause for now and leave it to the organizers if they have some time for you to respond to what I said, and if you want to share something.
After the second theme address, here we are at the Q&A session. So I request anybody from the audience who have any doubts regarding these sessions or any query regarding any theme, like had that been in yesterday or even in today's, so you can ask today. You can raise your question, guys.
There's a statutory warning before that. It cannot be anything under the sky. Okay, but definitely I'll try and answer your queries. Please.
Can we unmute and ask the question? So,
Sure.
Yeah, so I had this question, Acha. Could you again just explain to us in a gist the first 2 pointers which comes before your address on the idea of moving towards restoration? The first 2 key ideas which you initially shared with us. Can you explain it in a gist, the first 2 pointers? Yeah, which comes before the idea of moving towards restoration.
Right. The first thing that we spoke about yesterday, for the people who might have missed it, is that we spoke about the trust in the might of God. Okay, trusting in the might of God. That was essentially which we talked about, and we tried to place it on Jeremiah chapter 2, verses 26 to 28. Okay, where it says that you have made build up gods. You have called to a tree. You said to a tree, "You are my father." To a stone that you gave me birth. Jeremiah chapter 2, verses 26 to 28 clearly helps us to understand that we have to trust in the might of God, that God will work through us, work amongst us. Our topic that we initially spoke about. And the second point was the hope for restoration. Okay, it's a hope for restoration. And third, which we for the fourth one actually, which we talked about, is a wait for the restoration. Okay, the hope which we have, and there is a waiting period for that restoration, which we have to hold on to. Yeah.
Thank you, Acha.
Pleasure. There are two things that they say when you don't have questions. Is one is that either you understood everything or you haven't understood anything. All right. So please go ahead if you want to share, or if you want to add something. It will be nice to hear from you, your experiences.
Acha, the premise on which we essentially say that we have 4 key prophets. Why is the number reduced, like being reduced itself to 4? Like we have so many prophets in the Old Testament, but why is it that we essentially say that we have 4 key prophets, and like why is the number 4 being embossed on our minds and in our Sunday school classes? Why is it just 4? Why not others? Like what are the ideas, or what are the key factors which place them at a higher stride than the other prophets in the scriptures?
Now we essentially call there are 5 prophets whom we call the major prophets. Okay, so in old, I'm not a biblical scholar. My subject area is not biblical theology, but still I'll try to attempt and answer your question, Minu. That we have 5. Some writers would put it to 5 major prophets, and some would say it is 4. So we categorize prophets as major and minor prophets. Okay, so when we say we have 5 major prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Daniel, some of them put these people into 3, 4, or 5. They call them as major prophets. It's largely because of the content of their writing. Okay, on the biblical basis, the content and extent of their lifespan that they had and their influence, that they are put into major and minor prophets. Okay, 12 minor prophets in the but there are definitely, as you pointed out correctly, there are different prophets. Okay, people who speak on behalf of God are prophets, nabis. We spoke about it yesterday. The Hebrew word nabi means one who speaks on behalf of God. Thus says the Lord, prophets, they all begin like that. So in a way, yeah, so this biblical scholarship is very late. Even versifications, putting numbers to the chapters of the Bible, verses 13, 12, 11, like chapter 50, it's a later on additions. Okay, so in scholarship, in academics, you have different usages. You can call it 3 major prophets or 5 major prophets. There were lesser prophets, ചെറിയ prophets ആയിരുന്നവര് എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. But there are definitely other prophets which we don't know. Things are still incomprehensible. We still have to gain a lot of things. Scholarship, academic scholarship, we still explore, we still learn. So definitely there are new prophets, but they might not have been highlighted, defined within our thinking boxes. നമ്മുടെ ആ ഒരു വളരെ ലിമിറ്റഡ് ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് സ്കോളർഷിപ്പിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് ഇതുവരെ അത് വന്നിട്ടില്ലെന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ. There are very small prophets. There are people who acted like prophets through their way. We all can act like prophets. But I don't know whether we might find a place in Bible, but we all can be part of that prophetic message. I remember Elias Tirumeni, when we were young, he used to come in Delhi as an achan. He used to tell us this thing that a priest should be a prophet. Pravajaka Shabda ennu parayum, prophetic voice. Okay, prophet doesn't fear anyone. Prophet വളരെ വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് he doesn't talk sweet, he doesn't soothe. Okay, sweet, what do you call it in Hindi? You say maska nahi marta hai, theek hai. Prophet speaks bluntly. Okay, so whoever does that for God, whoever gives that word bluntly to people, or when I see something wrong happening, I say, oh, it is MGOCSM youngsters, Pallila, oh, you don't have to come, children, it is so nice, you stay ahead, Velila, you stay there, it is all going good. And you might accept that person, you might accept a priest or your elder, but as a father, as a mother, as your parents would say, children, it is not correct. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇന്നത് ശരിയല്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പ്രവാചക ശബ്ദം. That's a prophetic message. Okay, so we all are prophets in that way. If we are trying to. Okay. Can somebody come to my rescue? Hello.
Acha, can we essentially call Saint Paul as being one of those in one of those categories wherein he kind of, as literature students or literature scholars would put it, he kind of sententially moralizes his readers, because somewhere down the line when we read his epistles, it seems as if he actually scolds us. But then the other apostles are very soft and mild, because when we read Saint Peter's letters or other apostles, they're very mild to us in their usage of language. Maybe it's the English language which does it, but it's very generous of them to address us as on a very milder note. But Saint Paul kind of scolds us, don't do this, don't do that. He sounds kind of scary there. So in a way he is somewhat similar to the prophets, and also that prophets like Micah and prophets like Joel, they don't really scold us, but Isaiah the prophet does, because he kind of scares us that he lies in wait like a leopard does for the prey. God is like that. So his imageries and his comparisons are scary. So can we say that Saint Paul is also in one of those categories where he kind of does that to make us right, or to fall back in line?
Yes, Minu, definitely, but don't attribute to scaring or scolding to prophetic message. Okay, that's not the only yardstick for a prophet, but definitely these people who, when we talk about Saint Paul, when you try to highlight how Saint Paul reacts, or how he tries to scold us in your language, he is not. Saint Paul is actually dealing with certain problems in certain places. Okay, when he talks, when he tells women to do this and not to speak or not to cover their heads, it is not essentially as we take it. Okay, we don't understand the context of it, and there is a context behind everything. Okay, there is nothing without context in life. From where I speak, I have my own context. Where you speak, as a student, you have your own context, probably as a literature student, which I can sense. That's the context. So when Saint Paul says, I'm sure most of our Achans, especially Sijo Achan and others, can also guide you in other sessions, that when Saint Paul writes something, when he scolds his audience, he's not doing it just to show that he's a prophetic voice, but rather he is dealing with a very particular problem there. Okay, which has come up in Corinth. Okay, just to say a case. Okay, take a case. അവിടെ ഉള്ള ഇഷ്യൂസിനെ ഡീൽ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് സെയിന്റ് പോൾ പറയുന്നത്. when the place is getting ugly, when the place has a lot of things which is going against the will of God, this person comes up, this apostle Paul tells them, don't do this. We still have it. നമ്മുടെ parents നമ്മളോട് പറയാറില്ലേ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഇന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നത്. We might have lot of kalpanas that come from Tirumeni which still tells us not to do this, or to behave like that in our church, or to solve an issue in the church. We get those messages in our lives. നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെ ലഭിക്കാറുണ്ട് such kind of messages. So definitely in a way you can term them as prophets, but it is not just because they talk harsh that they are prophets. Okay, nobody is harsh in the prophets.
Hello, sorry to interfere. Are you finished?
May I ask one more question, please? I'm so sorry.
Father Chirayan Joseph here. As we are running out of time, I think we can stop this Q&A session here. Now we have the vote of thanks by Minu. and then we'll carry forward for the final concluding ceremony. Minu, can you come online and give the vote of thanks?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Sorry for
Thank you, Akshay.
not answering your questions now. You can send the questions to the given WhatsApp number. We'll be answering it later. Thank you.
For taking us from the theater of the absurd to the hopeful lines by Percy Bysshe Shelley in his very historic poem In an Ode to the West Wind. I quote, "The trumpet of a prophecy, O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind?" On behalf of the MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, etc., I extend and on behalf of the diocese, I extend my gratitude for sharing your valuable time with us and for enlightening us on ideas and themes which we currently require on a daily basis. And the dearth of the hour is essentially to dwell upon the ideas you shared with us, and the hope which we cling on to continuously as days pass by. And again, being joyous of the fact that we await the great nativity of our Lord, and that days post his birth, things will be all right. And 2021 will give us a year full of surprises and not much to weep as we did in 2020. But yes, nevertheless, not forgetting the fact that if joys are here to stay, they themselves are not permanent, but they will soon be gone. And that joys shall too pass, as you correctly pointed it out yesterday. And that sorrow will again come and be a part of our lives. But nevertheless, we'll stride upon with our trust in God. Thank you, Acha, for those enlightening words.
Thank you, Minu, for that. So next up, I would like to call upon few participants to share their experience of Logos 2020. To begin with, I'd ask Sneha from Chandigarh to come online.
Hi. Warm greetings to everyone, respected all dignitaries, resource persons, and central team, and all the members who are participating. So I, on behalf of Chandigarh unit, is here to share our experience. So ഞങ്ങൾ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ലോഗോസ് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് തന്നെ ലാസ്റ്റ് ഇയർ ആണ്. ദാറ്റ് വാസ് അവർ ഫസ്റ്റ് ലോഗോസ്. അത് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ വിചാരിച്ചു യെസ് വി ഹാവ് ടു അറ്റൻഡ് ദ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇയർ. പക്ഷെ ഇങ്ങനെ കോവിഡ് ഒക്കെ ആയപ്പോൾ ചെറിയ പേടിയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ലോഗോസ് പോകുമോ ഇപ്രാവശ്യം അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ എന്നൊക്കെ. But this virtual was really helpful. ആദ്യം ഒരു ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു how will it work, and kudos to everyone who worked behind it. It was a really great experience. So all the classes conducted by our Anish John, Sabu sir, Akash sir, it was so great. All the interactive activities conducted by our central team and the unit representation, everything was so good. We really enjoyed it. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha, for that. Next, can I have Nisha from Agra, please?
Am I audible? Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
Nisha. Yeah, Nisha.
Okay. Good afternoon to one and all present here. Actually, this was my first logos virtually. I guess everyone's first logo is virtually this time. But as the last person said that their logos was first time. So hello.
Next, Stefan from Dilshad Garden.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope I am audible. Once again, great event and journey of memories, learning, laughter, joy, masti is coming to its conclusion. And as we all know, things were different for all of us this time. Things were difficult for all of us. And I never thought that Logos 2020 will happen. And kudos to Central Team for organizing such a beautiful event and pulling off it such beautifully. They have done a really nice work for pulling this all together. And all these boundaries were limited just to device screens and internet connections. Thank you for uh, thank you for making us and helping us realize that yes, things are possible and new changes are there, but we are all prepared for those changes. Um, when it comes to classes and online sessions, I was also concerned that we have to sit before the camera and just listen to resource persons, but it was completely different from what I thought. All those classes, all those sessions were really amazing, and it helped us to remind that yes, God has great plans for us. Classes by Anish John were really great. It helped me to brush my memory that God has great plan for me. God has great plan for everyone. We just need to trust in Him. We just need to believe in Him. Um, then it comes to our class by Akshay Bhaiya. It was a really beautiful session, my personal favorite session. I never thought that we can look into someone's life just by hearing from a third person. It was a great experience for me. It was really moving experience for me. First time I was listening to a professional storyteller, and thank you for organizing such a beautiful session. Then it comes to Expecto Patronum. I was curious to know about this event. I was wondering what is planned for us. Expecto Patronum Pitradev Samrakshanam in Hindi. And I was really amazed uh, how Sabu sir, how Sabu Bhaiya took us back into the time, took us back into our early church fathers and patrons, and connected us so beautifully, so beautifully. Hats off to Gregorian voice. Your session was completely amazing. It was so peaceful, so calm, and it was very beautifully said, all of us. And once again, we will cherish all these memories. We will shelf all these memories. And thank you for organizing such a wonderful event. It was very, really, really nice experience. Thank you. Central Team.
Thank you everyone for your words. Next up, I welcome GV for a musical session. I'd like to welcome Trimeni for our concluding ceremony. Over to GV.
I believe in the sun.
face tomorrow. Because he lives, every fear is gone. I know he holds my life, my future in his hands. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because he lives. Amen. Amen. Let my song join the one that never ends, because he lives. Because he lives. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring, snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time, dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet, jingle around the clock. Mix and mingle in the jingling feet, that's the jingle bell rock. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time, snowing and blowing the bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time, dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet, jingle around the clock. Mix and mingle in the jingling feet, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock.
Well, that was an amazing performance by GV. Thank you so much, GV. Next up, I request Tirumeni to share a few words of wisdom with all of us.
Reverend Father Cherian Joseph, Vice President of the MGOCSM, Diocese of Delhi, Reverend Deacon Shino, office bearers and members of the Gregorian Voices, others members participating in this meeting. Once again, a word of welcome to all of you. I've been much impressed by the fact that despite the impediments that COVID-19 creates, MGOCSM has been rather active, and more so to see the rather innovative ways in which the organization is reaching out to engage and activate all its members. I've been much impressed by the way that all of you gathered together and the program that was put together, having Father Anish John from Ireland being part of this, utilizing our readily available resources to ensure that we continue to provide the spiritual nourishment to all our young people, young men and women. And may I take this opportunity to thank God that He has made this event possible, and also to Reverend Father Cherry and Joseph and all the organizers and leaders for putting together such a wonderful conference. I've also been touched by the music of Gregorian voices, and as I sat listening to them, I was expressing in my mind a word of thanks to my predecessors whose vision made it possible for this organization to produce, or rather to put together, a choir which provides us with hauntingly beautiful music, and some of them redolent or rather nostalgic of the Christmas season. I remember when I was studying at university abroad, month of December was filled with songs of the Christmas with white snow and bells all around. Commercialized even though it still provided a great deal of experiences which touched our hearts with regard to what Christmas means for a Christian. I hope that as the days go by, and with the assistance of DOCIB, that we can expand the repertoire of Gregorian voices to provide more spiritual nourishment and encouragement to others. We are in the planning stages of utilizing DOCIB to continue our online programs. Once a month, we hope to provide devotional messages, sometimes all of it in English, trying to reach out to those whose preference language of communication may not be Malayalam, and still continuing to reach out to the elderly and those disabled whose confinement in the homes prevent them from being a part of our church services, all of which will provide, we hope, in the future. And we hope that Gregorian voices will continue to provide support and assistance in making these programs very interesting and engaging to others. Let me just say that I'm happy with this program, and that MGOCSM will continue its outreach in various ways to reach out to those of our brothers and sisters who remain outside the scope of the active participation in this organization. It should become a very important objective of MGOCSM to reach out to many young women and children who are not part of the MGOCSM. I've tried to encourage every spiritual organization not to be satisfied with existing numbers, always to reach out, because that is part of what Christ is teaching us to do, to reach out to others who are not part of it, and to think out of the box ways in which we can engage all these young people to become part of our activities. And maybe today or tomorrow, what we do and sow the seeds will produce its own results. We let God handle the results, but that does not mean that we will diminish our programs, or rather our zeal in reaching out to others. And I think that should always be a part, because that is what Christmas is about. It is a time that we reach out to those who are not within our comfort zone. And I hope that that will remain an important objective of the MGOCSM, so that many young women and who are outside or remain distant from our programs will come into and experience the richness and the joy of being part of this organization. Let me, with a final word of encouragement and felicitation or commendation, thank you all, Father Cherian once again, and all the organizers and leaders for this wonderful program that we had for the past 2 days. May God continue to bless all of you and your activities and programs. Above all, may I take this opportunity once again to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Don't make it too merry. And then hopefully that your New Year will be a blessed occasion, so that it will be a time that we can thank God for all the blessings that He has given us in this past year, and continue to bless all of us in the coming year. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Tirumeni, for your words. Next up, I welcome Isaac P. Sampson, our General Secretary of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, for the vote of thanks.
Respected Tirumeni, Achins, Deacon, and my dear friends. So after 2 days of sessions, retreat, songs, and finally we are towards the end of Logos 2020. I think the major success of this event is that we were able to reach out to many members. Like through this conference, we were able to reach out to some of the members of Tuklakabad and Jaipur VK parish. And through this conference, we were able to know that there are MGOCSM members existing outside the radar that we were used to function before. So the main success of this event is that we were able to reach out to other people in an innovative manner. And that is why I believe Logos 2020 is a success, because we were able to reach out to many people that earlier we were not usually reaching out. So getting on to my duties, I would like to thank God Almighty, without whose blessings we wouldn't be able to conduct this event. Because during this pandemic period, like when we discussed about this year's planning, so Olive and Logos were something that we thought would not be happening this year. But just because of God's grace, we were able to conduct this in an innovative manner and in a different manner, which helped us to reach out to different people. Secondly, I would like to thank our Metropolitan, His Grace Dr. Yuhanoma Dimitrios. When Charianachan shared the idea of virtual logos with Tirumeni, he readily agreed to that particular idea. And later, he also granted permission to conduct this event at Armana. So I believe that was one of those encouragement that helped us to conduct this event here. So thank you, Tirumeni, for that wonderful encouragement for MGOCSM people. Secondly, I would like to thank our main resource person, Reverend Father Anish John Achan. We had 2 trial Zoom sessions with Achan. So Achan was really patient with the meetings. He entirely dedicated his time for MGOCSM for last 1 week, and he delivered one of the best sessions of MGOCSM logos of all time. So I believe those 2 sessions were really important. They were crisp, and they were short, and they were really wonderful. So thank you, Anish Acha, for giving us such wonderful sessions and accepting our invitation as our chief resource person. Next, I would like to thank Reverend Father Saji Yohanan, our diocesan secretary, who helped us to arrange this event in a best possible manner at Armana. And around 20 people stayed here at Armana. So all the arrangements were made under the guidance of Saji Achan. So a big thank you to Saji Achan from our side. Next, I would like to thank Reverend Father Ebin P. Jacob Achan, who is the DOCIB director and also the Diocese Office Secretary. Under his guidance, the whole DOCIB setup was done here, and because of which we were able to reach out to many other people outside the online, through the online streaming. So I would like to thank Ebin Achan on our behalf. Next, I would like to thank our 2 other resource persons. One is Professor Sabu John and Akshay, who was our storyteller. Both of these sessions were different from the mainstream sessions that we used to have. One was regarding the church fathers, and another was regarding storytelling workshop. Both of the sessions were different, and I believe through the sessions we were able to reach out to many people within their interest forum. So on behalf of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to both of these resource persons. Next, I would like to thank Deacon Shinu Thomas and Kochama, who were present with us right from the beginning of this event. So they were guiding us throughout this conference, even during our night stay here. So thank you, Deacon Shinu and Kochama. And I would like to thank all the Achans of Delhi Diocese who participated through our Zoom meeting in our conferences. So there were many Achans who joined in the Zoom conferences. So on behalf of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the Achans who were present in the Zoom meeting. And now the most important aspect of the conference, that is participants. So I would like to thank all the participants who participated through the virtual medium. Especially just want to name a few units, like we got participation from Dilshad Garden, Ghaziabad, Phase 1, Phase 3, and Ghaziabad units. Apart from that, Hoskas, Sarita Vihar, Tuklakabad, Faridabad, Janakpuri, and Jaipur VK Parish. So these were the Delhi NCR units. Apart from that, we had participation from Jodhpur unit, Agra unit, Chandigarh unit, Jaipur unit, Bhiwadi unit, and Agra unit. And this time, to make this a global conference, we had delegates from Dubai, MGOCSM Dubai unit, MGOCSM Sharjah unit, Align unit, and also we had some members from Sydney and Melbourne unit. So thank you everybody who has joined us through the conference and helped us to make this conference success. And apart from that, since this conference was virtual, but for the setup and for the success of this conference, few of us stayed here. So I just want to thank a few of the people who helped us to organize this particular setup. First is DOCIB Media. So I would like to thank Jinuraj and Cyril, who made up the entire DOCIB setup, which helped us to reach out to every person. Thank you. Apart from that, I would like to thank the Gregorian Voice members. There were 20 odd members under the leadership of Gabriel. So they were present here from yesterday, and they utilized the entire week, last week, for practice. And also they came up after the diaspora event. So for the last 2-3 weeks, they were entirely dedicating for the service of God. So on behalf of MGOCSM Diocese, I would like to thank all the Gregorian Voice members who stayed up here. And the most important backbone of this particular conference is the technical team that is involved in the Zoom conferences as well as the DOCIB media. So in technical team, we have Georgie, Shijo, Jinu, Gabriel, and Brian. So these were the people who were involved in the smooth Zoom conferences that were held, and all the technical aspects of the conferences were under their leadership. So thanking all of them on behalf of MGOCSM. And again, I would like to thank the Urbana staff, all the staffs of Urbana who helped us to organize this particular event here. So they helped us to make arrangements for our stay here at Urbana. Apart from that, all the food that we got the breakfast here from the Urbana. So I would like to thank everybody who contributed for the success of the event from Urbana. And last not the least, I would like to thank our Vice President, Charyan Achan. As many of you know, he was not well for last 1 month. So even when he was not well, he was always taking updates regarding this particular event. And since he is technologically upgraded, he was really making us to try our level best to organize this event. And I believe this particular logos, that is virtual logos, is been a success just because of the guidance of Achan, because he's technologically upgraded. He knows the technology better, and I believe his contribution and his motivation towards us really helped us. Thank you, Achan. And last, I would like to thank the central team of the year 2020. I believe organizing an olive or logos in a physical manner is really easy because we have got a setup. We have got a particular format organizing the logos. But I believe this year we organized olive in a virtual manner. Now we are organizing logos. In both of the formats, we tried hard to create a format. And I believe creating something for the first time is really difficult. And we, as a team, were able to do that. And I really want to appreciate all the members of Center team, which helped us in creating this particular format. And there were issues in both of the events, but that's just because this is happening for the first time. And I believe with the teams who are coming in next years, we will be able to reach out to people both virtually as well as physically. Because I believe now, whenever, even if the situations are good, and we are organizing a physical logos that we organize over the years, we should have a virtual type of setup through which we can reach out to many people. Like not all outstation units come to logos every year. So through the virtual medium, I believe we can reach out to the outstation units, because out of 230 participants, 120 were registered from outstations. So that is kind of support they are giving to the MGOCSM. And I believe it is our duty to heed what they require and to do what they require in the best possible manner. So on that note, I would like to close my words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Now, to conclude and for some last few words, I call upon the Vice President of MGOCSM Delhi Diocese, Reverend Father Cherin Joseph.
Glory be to the triune God. Most respected Tirmeni, dear Shamashan, and all my friends who are present here, and all those who are watching live through Zoom and YouTube and Facebook medias. I know that the vote of thanks is over. Now there is no need to thank anyone officially, but I take this opportunity to thank God Almighty because this is the first time, and I anticipate that this would be the last also virtual logos. We all hope for a better future. So tomorrow, the next year, we'll be having the physical logos. But this time, this was an opportunity to all of us. Because when we started thinking about logos, when I joined as the vice president, Tirumeni had given me all the support to conduct this logos on the virtual media. And then we were thinking about how to do it and which place we should select to do or to conduct this logos. And finally, God made us to think that Aramana is the best place to do it. Because we have 2-3 connection in this. One, this is the place where our fathers worshipped. This is the place where we learned the basics of theology. This is a place where we all studied the liturgy. And from here, we went out into the ministry. So, choosing Aramana to be the venue, physical venue for the virtual meeting was indeed God's decision. And it came out through us. I thank God Almighty for giving us this opportunity, and also I thank Tirumeni for allowing us to come here, stay here, and have the fellowship and be together, celebrate the Holy Qurbana together, and have a different feeling. I thank Tirumeni and respected Sajiyachan and all the Aramana inmates who made this possible to come together as a unit. And I also take this opportunity to thank each and everyone who supported for this logos, especially the participants. I know being virtual is very difficult these days because every time you are on screen. So you have to take a screen break. But I was watching, and I was there online always. I was seeing that many of our participants, they were active when the sessions were going on. They were active and they were interactive and they were having some doubts. They just listened to what the coordinators or the speakers said. So I thank them. And I also thank the chief resource person because he is a very good friend of mine. And when we invited him and when we gave the theme to him, that is, know the plans. So he was very happy and really happy to come back because he was a general secretary of this same institution, this organization years ago. So he was happy to be back with you all. So in that way, this conference was made a fruitful conference because of the efforts of lots of people together. So I thank all of you. Though it's a virtual thing, but I want all my team to come on stage, on screen, so that everybody can see you all. I request all the team, the central team, the GV, the DOCIB, all to come forward. Please come forward. We'll take a picture. All of you, please raise up, and so that the world should see who are the people behind the Logos 2020 virtual. I thank each and everyone, all members of GV, all members of DOCIB team, and especially all members of my team, that is the central team. I especially thank the office bearers, Isaac, Shijo, and Brian, and all the CT members. I thank you all. I thank God Almighty and all the members, the session speakers, and all who are watching this virtually. Thank you.
one of the things I wanted to just came to mind. This is a really pakka diocesan.
Yes.
We need to think about it. Nobody from outside the just like, but that itself is very good because we're reaching out for all. And not really that this is what the liberalism wanted to, the center to be the nerve center of the diocese. And I'm happy that MGOCSM and Sajjan always says we should organize everything here and make this really like the place where all of us come. So thank you for making that also. Teacher.
ലൈവ് കട്ട് ചെയ്തു